All right. Hey, I think we're live. What's going on, everybody? It is 7 p.m. on the East Coast, 4 p.m. on the West Coast, and whatever time it is over there in the UK or wherever you're watching us, it's the Death Rattle Podcast. It's Wednesday. What's going on? I am DJ, your host, and also with me is Mr. Kanan Becker, the co-host, the duo host.
You just call me the narcissist.
I thought that was me.
Supposedly, I'm the narcissist. I had someone comment on a video saying this video would have been great if there wasn't that narcissist on screen the whole time.
Jeez.
All I did was just laugh, but I wanted to be like, yeah, I'm such a narcissist. I have to hide behind sunglasses in almost every video.
Right. Good Lord. Well, hey, what's going on, everybody? Let's see who's in the chat. Dominic's in the chat. What's up?
What's up, Dom?
OCKV, Akvi. What's up? What's up, Al? Good to see you. What's going on, John Connor? And then who else is here? Casey's here. What's going on? Heather's here. Hey, Nightingale Widow's here. What's going on, guys? Good to see you. Everybody's slowly coming in. It's okay.
The usual suspects.
Oh, let me turn the chat on. Sorry, guys. That's what we're missing. We're missing the chat on the feed there so everybody can read themselves. Terry's in the chat. What's up, Terry? Good to see you. We don't have a lot to talk about today, but we'll figure it out. We have a couple of trailers we're going to watch. I want to talk about a movie that I saw because there was nothing coming out this past weekend that I wanted to see. And I was not interested in seeing Mithrigan 2.0 or Jurassic World. So I didn't.
Well, technically, Jurassic World comes out today.
Oh, that's right. Well, there was nothing for me to see this past weekend. Yeah. And except for, I guess, technically F1, but I haven't seen that yet. I keep hearing good things about it, though.
Yeah, I went and saw that, and I saw Megan.
So you saw Megan 2.0. Okay. Well, I'd love to hear your thoughts about it, even though I'm pretty sure I already know.
It's one of those that, like, I very much get the people that are having fun with it. I'm like, I get that. My issue is that it's devolved. Like, they took something that, even though there was things about the first one that were a little cringe and a little bit like, okay, there was still enough about it, and it was based in horror and all of that I was like, I could still enjoy it, and a lot of horror fans could still enjoy it. Now they went, and it just kind of feels like, and I'm probably way off on this, but it feels like they just kind of used the horror audience and saw dollar signs. And so they're like, how can we make even more money and make this even bigger? Let's make Megan a pop star. That's literally what she is. She even has a dance performance. Like like she sings and dances in this fucking movie. Like, they give her a whole new outfit, which I was like, well, that's for merch marketing and like to sell toys and shit. But I wouldn't hate it so much if it didn't feel like that. Like, it just feels like, because there's nothing remotely horror in this at all. Like, there's nothing, me, like, my horror umbrella is big. Like, I fit a lot of different subgenres under there, and I get a lot of shit from a lot of people for considering a lot of different movies horror. But I can't even squeeze this under my giant umbrella. Like, there's nothing horror in it at all. Like,
So what is it? Like, just an action thriller?
It's a comedy that has action thriller, like,
it's an action comedy.
It's like Terminator 2 if it was a silly comedy angled towards teenage girls.
Oh God.
Like 13, 12, 13-year-old girls. And like, I just don't get what their logic behind it is. And it shows at the box office. This movie did horribly. They projected it to do 26. It made 10.
Is Blumhouse really worried about the 13-year-old girl market?
Well, that's what I don't get. Because even if those are the girls that came out to that first movie, well, now those girls are 15, 16 anyway. So like, even if that's who your target audience was for the first movie, they're aged up. So if anything, it feels like, you would keep riding with what I don't understand it. I don't understand it at all. Like, why not, if anything, just keep writing what worked in that first movie? Why would you completely go away from all of that? And I don't know. I've heard some people say that they did shoot an R-rated version of this and that they'll release that like they did last time, but I
I'm
don't
sure
know,
it's really
because
good.
the last one was shot as an R-rated movie. And then once the TikTok dance took off, they cut it down to make it a PG-13 movie. But this time, why would you? Like, you're releasing it PG-13. Like, if anything, like they maybe made a couple scenes a little more gory, I guess, to make an R-rated. Just I don't know. It just feels like a mess, dude. Like, it feels disjointed. It doesn't feel like it even knows what it wants to be or what it's trying to do. There's so many cringy moments that are like, cringe can work when it is like more natural. You know what I mean? And you laugh at it, and like the first one had that, where there's things that are not meant to be funny exactly, but they're so bad they're funny. They're so camp, I should say, they're funny. This movie
They're
doesn't
like
have that.
bloodline.
It just straight up feels like they're trying to make something campy, and it's the whole reason, like, a lot of people, that a movie like Sharknado doesn't work for a lot of people. A lot of people would rather see a movie that is trying to be good, like The Room, but that actually is really bad, and that's what makes it funny and fun to watch. But it's not as entertaining when something is trying to be a bad, like so bad it's good. Like,
Well, yeah, I guess I think there's degrees to that.
yeah.
Because like Hobo with the Shotgun is trying to be bad and it's good.
I don't think it's trying to be
Velocipaster.
bad, though. There's a difference. I don't think Hobo with Shotgun is trying to be bad. It's trying to be grimy and lowbrow. It's supposed to be, you know what I mean? It's meant to be a lowbrow comedy, low budget comedy. Like, it's not trying to be a bad movie. It's not
Okay.
trying to be like, it's not trying to be funny. It doesn't want you to laugh at it. Like, Hobo with the Shotgun is not like purposely doing things to make you laugh at it. It's just by nature of what it does, it still is humorous. But it's also kind of badass. Like, you know what I mean? Hobo with the Shotgun is one of those, like,
Yeah,
Turbo
I
Kid
think
is
it's
another
good.
one where, yeah, it's like there are funny elements because it's so bad it's good in ways, but it's also badass and like fun.
So what do
And
you
it kind of looks like what I'm hoping the new Toxic Avenger is going to be. Because, like, it looks like that, where it's not
cross your
trying to
fingers?
be a bad movie. It's just a grindhousey, kind of thing. I don't know, man. Megan just feels try hard. Like, everything about it feels
Yeah.
try hard. It doesn't feel genuine. But I also know a lot of people that had a blast with it and, like, loved it. So I'm not trying to hate on that at all. Like, I knew right away, like, instantly, this is not this movie's not made for me. And,
Tom
like,
with a
you
$5.
know,
Tom with a $5 says, "You guys fight like the Odd Couple. Love it."
we're not even fighting
You
right
do. We're
now.
not fighting yet, man. Give the show some
Maybe,
time, but thanks for the
maybe that's
5.
him trying to throw money at us. Me like, fight, guys, fight.
Right. Like, yeah, go fight
It's
about
like
something.
the fighting chickens or whatever. You're like,
Yeah.
throw some seed at them. Like, get at it.
Well, so what do you think about movies like Velocipaster and She Kills and stuff like that, where they're like genuinely good movies that are attempting to be bad, like they're satire. You know what I mean? Like, have you seen She Kills?
I don't think so.
Okay,
But like, some of that works. Like, it's just, a lot
or
of times,
Planet of the Vampire Women.
like, I don't always love all that stuff. It's just not necessarily my thing, but I at least can see the charm in all of it. You know what I mean? Because there's a genuine sincerity in it. It's not trying to make money. And like, that's what I'm talking about. And I even have some laughs with Sharknado, and even though that movie was trying to do the whole bad it's good thing, but there was still, like, there felt like there were still some genuine people behind that movie where they still cared about the property and they still thought like they weren't just trying to make a shit movie.
Speaking
Or
of
just
shark,
trying to, like, I don't know. This just feels like plastic, dude. It feels like they're
that's
straight
what it
up just
looks
trying
like.
to make money.
Yeah, that's what it
And
looks
it's
like. It
so
looks like
funny
it looks
because you have a
soulless.
movie like Barbie. You have a movie like Barbie last year.
Yeah,
I think was that last year, or year before last.
23.
That in every way should have just been what this is. Like, you know what I mean? Just a cheap, shitty movie trying to make a bunch of money. And it wasn't. It actually had some substance to it and some good humor and good, decent acting. And like, there was actually something to the Barbie movie, which is wild. And then you have something like this that could have something to say. Like, it's like a softball. There's so many things in this that you're watching it and you're like, guys, you could be making a statement about culture and this and that. Instead, you just make some stupid vagina joke or fucking what they make this one really bad joke that a lot of people were like, this is fucking just gross. Yeast infection, like a yeast infection joke. And like just, and it's like, I don't care. That's fine. Crass humor is fine, but it's just like,
It's
instead
timing.
of, yeah. And instead of like having something, I don't know, man, like a part of the reason I thought the first movie worked is because there was a somewhat statement on culture and on, the whole just giving a tablet to your kid and being like, go away. Like, you know what I mean? There was an element of this doesn't have any of that. And when
Yeah.
it kind of tries to attempt to have certain statements like that, it's just, I don't know, man. Like just the biggest thing is it's not for me. And I know it's hard to really critique something when you're like, I'm literally not at all the target demographic for this. I'm just not sure
It doesn't
who
matter
is.
if you're the target demographic. You can still critique the quality of a film. It doesn't matter.
Well, yeah, and that's the stuff I'm talking about. I'm just saying, as far as enjoyment goes, no matter how good this, like, even if it's made super well, which I don't think it was, but even if it was, I still wouldn't really dig this. It's just not my thing.
Yeah.
But
Let's
then
see
there's
what
things
Chad has
like
to say.
F1. Then there's movies like F1 where it's not my kind of movie. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not the target demographic for that movie either. Like, a lot of people are calling it a dad movie. And like, I get it. It's totally a dad movie. And I'm not into F1 racing. I have almost never really watched any of it. I don't know anything about it. It's just not my jam. It's not my thing. And I'm not into the whole, everything that this movie is. And yet, just like Top Gun, which is another one of those movies that wasn't made for me because it's well done, it's still entertaining as hell.
Well, it's funny you brought up Top Gun because like it's the same director.
Yeah. And that's the thing. The same elements of Top Gun work in F1. It's like the technology element of it. Like, they had to literally invent a drone to film this movie because they had to make this drone that was so fast and stable that it could go literally side by side with these cars. And it looks insane. It's so good.
161 million in the worldwide box office right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's really good, dude. It's gonna do exactly what Top Gun did. It's gonna be $1 billion movie.
Well, then that should tell Hollywood to make more dad movies.
And I mean, don't get me wrong, I have problems with it. There's a lot of stuff that is super, like, very cringy. Like some stuff that it was trying to be heartwarming, and it's like the dialogue and stuff super cheesy. Like the ending of the movie, especially, there's some stuff where you're just like, that's so fucking corny. Like, holy shit. Like, I want to slap myself in the face.
Well,
like,
don't
there's
give anything
definitely
away.
Stuff like that. But
I want to see
so much that still make it worth it, and so much of it that still is very cool. So,
well, I want to see it. So.
Yeah, I think you'll dig it. I think you'll like it.
All right. Well, let's see what Chad has to say about Mithrigan 2.0. John says I haven't seen Mithrigan 2.0 yet, but the whole trailer looks like they're going the T2 route with more action from what was originally a horror film.
Yeah.
Casey says Mithrigan Halloween.
It literally is the trailer. Like, it literally is the trailer. Like, you see everything in the Megan trailer, Megan 2. You see everything. There is no twist in it. There's one moment in this movie that I was like, oh shit. Like there's this one thing that they hint at a twist. And I was like, oh fuck, dude, if they did that, that like made this movie, like it made me sit up in my seat. I got excited for a second. And then they completely went back on it and we're like, no, we're just joking. That's not what was going. And I was like, dude,
That's dumb.
like it would have been the coolest idea. Because the way the movie's going, if they had all of a sudden made this crazy shift right there, you're like, everybody would have been like,
yeah.
Eventually
Jack
you'll
says,
see it. I know what I'm talking about, but it's like, ugh.
Jack says Megan isn't horror. You're right. Heather says there's going to be so many Mithriegans this Halloween. Matt says hi.
I doubt it. I doubt it. There was a shitload last year, but honestly, as bad as, I mean, dude, 10 million is horrible. They promoted the shit out of this one. The last one made 26 opening weekend.
Yeah.
Like this movie, like it'll be lucky to make back its because this week Jurassic Park came out.
Yeah.
Everybody knows that's going to make $1 billion, even if it's not the greatest. It doesn't even matter. Jurassic movies always make $1 billion or more.
Yeah,
so,
I had some
there's
people
a lot of competition. I don't see making it might squeak out another 10, 15 million over its run, but like that still won't make back its budget. They spent like 20 something million on this movie.
John says, I remember when I was in the theater and they were showing behind the scenes of Mithrigan and they called her a new guy icon. I was like, huh? She's a preteen robot and I don't see any undertones. Yeah. I don't see guys enjoying this. Yeah. I don't see guys enjoying this.
Yeah. I think that was a joke. This movie is very much angled towards girls and like feminine power. And like, that's fine. I'm not against any of that, especially if it's like I said, Barbie dealt with some of those things, but it did it in a really smart way that it didn't feel fucking corny and stupid.
I believe we need to end women's suffrage canon, don't you?
No, but that's not what I mean. I mean, like this is meant to be like for, you know, young girls to be all excited. Like even when I was a kid, there was like TV shows like Gem, you know, where it was like little girl superheroes. That's what this is. This is, and like, there's a world. Yeah. And there's a world where I would be fine with it. I'd even be okay with making Megan the superhero and all of that. Right. It's just the way it's written and done.
I always thought Sailor
regardless
Saturn
of all that
was
is just dumb.
I always thought Sailor Saturn was hot.
I don't remember which one. I'm a
she had the biggest boobs, I think. I think that's what it was.
Probably.
Hermes Girl says
too old for all for the Sailor Moon stuff, so I didn't really ever watch it.
Hermes Girl says the Sharknado franchise is fun. You know what's funny about Sharknado? I worked on a shark movie last year in September with the director of Sharknado. And
oh, really?
The trailer dropped last week, so maybe we can watch it.
What's it called?
Great White Waters.
Nice. I just recommended the movie Great White last week to everybody on in my video.
What's going on?
It's actually a pretty good shark movie that nobody knows about.
Say is here. What's up? Scott wants to name a hidden gem horror for him to watch now, please.
What subgenre?
Oh yeah, what subgenre? Yeah. If it's like just strictly, if it's strictly, we got to know what. Is it strictly horror or what subgenre do you like? Let me see here. Let's blah 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 blah. Oh, people are already.
What we usually say is coherence.
I usually say coherence, or I've been saying isolation now.
Yeah, isolation. Another one that just popped to mind for some reason is The Invitation, and not the stupid vampire-ish romance novel bullshit one that came out like in 2022, but the older one. I think it's 2019, 2018, 17, somewhere in there.
2015,
maybe. Does it got Logo Marshall Green?
Yeah,
stars
2015. Did I see this?
Damn, I didn't realize it was that old.
I don't think
very good movie.
Okay, cool.
And definitely will surprise you. Like if you don't know anything about it going in,
I'll watch it.
They'll definitely surprise you.
Citizens Leave says, did you guys watch The Sound? Semi-decent rock climbing horror film, but the ending just messes up the rest. I have not seen The Sound yet. I don't think it's in. Is it in? Where is it? Is it streaming? Is it in theaters?
I feel like that's just the VOD.
I haven't heard of it.
I've had a few people mention it in the last couple of weeks. I think it just came on to VOD or something.
Okay. What's going on, Joe Big? Good to see you. Heather's like, I'm watching F1 more for Brad Pitt than the racing. Right?
Dude,
Brad Pitt
he's so
is in
good
his
in it.
60s.
Holy shit, dude. There's a scene where he has no shirt on, and I'm like, how is that man? Because, like, Tom Cruise, like the same age, basically, right? And
Yeah.
Tom Cruise is in great shape, but Brad Pitt makes him look like a flabby old man. Like, I don't know how Brad Pitt does it. Like, it is crazy.
It's those Bohemian Grove rituals that they all do. That's what it is.
Yeah, but Brad Pitt's not into any of that stuff. That's what's even trippier. Brad Pitt's never really been like, he's well known for not being like the ladies' man and not being the guy that hangs out like at the parties and like, you know, I think he just genuinely eats good. He does the Tom Brady life, you know what I mean? Just eats clean.
Scott says nobody ever talks about The First Omen anymore. That's because it's not talk aboutable. It's a very forgettable movie.
No, I loved it, but it's a year ago, dude.
It doesn't matter.
This is how horror works, man.
Not good horror.
Like a lot of people talked about it a lot last year. Even good horror. Like you know, we are always moving on. Like every year there's a bunch of new stuff, and that's what ends up being the topic of conversation.
Odd Ender says, not interested in Megan, but I'll be watching Bring Her Back tonight. Very excited. Been keeping myself from any info about this movie going in cold. Awesome. Good. You're going to love it. And if you don't, you're dumb. I'm kidding. But we'd love to know. Come back and tell us about it. I think that's it. Oh, John says DJ was a spell check. I meant a gay icon. Okay. So Mithrigan's going to be a new gay icon, apparently. All right. Is she gay? Is she a gay AI?
Well, I think that's dumb. I think that's dumb, but like...
Wait, is she?
No.
Okay.
There's nothing... They don't talk about any of that in the movie. There's no conversations or anything like that. But what I do know, like quite a few, you know, people in the LGBTQ community were a big fan of her from that. Yeah, I know, I always forget exactly. But anyway, the LGBT, that, you know, the community, the first one was very popular. But this one, like, once again, it just feels try hard. Like, it feels like it's going, okay, so these people loved it. We're going to like, just get, I don't know, man. I don't know. Like I said, I know quite a few people that still had fun with this and, you know, did like it. And so that's cool. It's like, I'm not trying to shit on it or shit on their parade. You know what I mean? I just didn't work for me at all. Like, not at all. Like, I was as bored as I've been. Yeah. LGBTQ. Hold on. Didn't I say it right?
No, you said everything else.
Maybe. No, I said LGBTQ. That's what it is, dude.
Dude, I don't.
Thank you, Herman.
Okay. Hang on. I'm trying to find.
Or Hermes. I can't read, man. My eyes. Hermes girl. Thank you.
I'm trying to find.
Yeah, Rosemary's Baby is fantastic. That's
Rosemary's Baby is awesome.
Absolute classic. I'm not saying that The First Omen is like Rosemary's Baby. Like, that's just dumb. But I do think it's a good movie. It's just, you know, like every year, if we're lucky, I say this all the time, we get one or two of those movies that will be remembered. Like, we'll still be talking to them or talking about them for years to come. But that's not what keeps the horror industry going. That's not what keeps us entertained. We need a whole bunch of other movies in there that are of varying degrees of quality.
Yeah.
You know, you can't just have, you know, but it's like, you know, if we're lucky, we get a couple bangers each year. Like last year we had The Substance, you know, and that's going to be talked about for years to come.
Because he was good.
You know, like this year,
Terrifier.
To this point,
even though I don't think they're good. People are going to be talking about that.
That's different. Yeah, but that's different. That's a cult following type of thing. That's not people. I think the Terrifier movies will be mentioned in the way Friday the 13th and stuff are. not in the same
I
way
agree.
as like
I
the
agree.
substance. Like it's not like a classic.
Hang on, I want to get to this though. I want to figure something out. Heather says Sailor Saturn, and she's laughing at me. She said, "I thought you would say Sailor Jupiter." Here's the truth, Heather and everybody. I don't actually remember what all these characters look like. I think they all honestly just have the same model with just different hairstyles. But while we were talking,
sizes of boobs.
No, I think they're all the same. That's what I'm trying to say. Like the only difference is just
you said the one had bigger boobs.
Well, that's what I thought. So I did some research, and here's Sailor Jupiter.
Well, you can't even see her boobs. She's got big old bows.
I know. So maybe so I don't remember but so that's Sailor Jupiter. What Heather thought I would enjoy.
So is it a more modern anime thing where the girls all ended up getting like giant boobs and stuff? Is that more modern?
I don't know, but thank God if it is. And then here's Sailor,
because this is from like the 80s and 90s, right? Sailor Moon.
Is it? Yeah. This is Saturn, I think, but like you can tell, like, look, like I think I was right. Like you can see a little bit more.
Oh yeah, the other one. There's
definitely kind of got this. She's kind of got this goth thing going on.
And she's got like something that makes you want to look at her boobs, like some shiny ass.
Yeah, so I think I was right. I think I was right. If we're talking about the sailors, anyway. Sorry, I always need to pause for that stuff.
The semen. What is it? Boober fan? Barbarian.
Coherence is good. Jerry loved Coherence. It's a fantastic film.
It's great.
We Summon the Darkness is not a good movie. Sorry, Hermes Girl.
I like Summon the Darkness. It's not like it's one of those that I talk about. It's a popcorn movie. Like it's dumb. It's dumb.
I wanted to turn it off 3 times.
But it's fun.
Whoever wrote that movie,
don't listen to DJ.
It's fun. Whoever wrote that movie does not listen to metal. And it's so obvious.
Why do you say that?
Because nobody talks the way that they talk, and nobody.
Dude, the movie is meant tongue in cheek.
Okay, fine, but it's.
I mean, dude,
it comes
look who plays the pastor.
It comes across very poser. That's what I'm trying to say. Whether it's tongue in cheek or not, no, you're supposed to buy in that these people are metalheads.
No, you're not. No, okay. The whole movie is making a joke out of the whole satanic panic metal thing. It's literally meant to be a comedy. It's meant to be funny.
Okay, the goal. What's that Roses movie? It's the same thing. It's a horror comedy, but you don't feel like people
that's like saying that's like saying the scary movies don't know horror movies.
No, they do. That's why they're so funny.
Making a joke out of it.
They do. That's why they're so funny. That's what makes them funny, is because they do know horror movies. They do know the tropes, and they know exactly how to riff on it. We Summon the Darkness doesn't know how to riff on metal tropes or metal at all. Like, I think they even had them doing the fingers wrong. Like, I think that was one of my notes, is when they were throwing up the horns, it was wrong. Like they would like, it was like this. Like it was just, it was just some way nobody throws the horns. It's just like, what's happening here?
I never did it right either, because the horns for metal are supposed to be like this, but I always did this, and everybody was.
You can, yes, you can do that, but like, and like, look, I'm not trying to say that there's like the right way. It's just you can kind of tell.
Either way, we're arguing about a movie that I'm not saying is good. I'm saying it's fun. It's entertaining.
I guess,
but it's a stupid movie. Like, dude, Johnny Knoxville makes it worth seeing alone.
Yeah, but he's in the last 15 minutes. Spoiler alert.
No, he has the cameo things throughout the movie, and every one of his lines is super funny. And that's what I mean. The movie is making more fun out of the satanic panic thing. It's not about metal.
Okay, but if you're gonna
you got hung up on the first 5 minutes of the movie.
But if you're gonna have characters that have these aspects, that have these attributes, at least make them believable.
Be like a 70s like rock anyway. It's not even really it's not a modern. It's supposed to take place like
metal wasn't metal until like the mid 80s anyway. All the proto metal bands, that was happening in the 70s. Black Sabbath, when they released
but that's what I'm saying. Isn't the movie supposed to take place in like the early 80s?
So it's been like metal. Look, what I'm trying to say is if you're going to have a subculture represented in your movie, whether it's tongue in cheek, whether it's whatever, at least try to have a modicum of authenticity. At least try.
Yeah.
That's all I'm
I'm
saying.
not disagreeing with that.
All right. That's all I'm saying.
Like, there's no way, like, this movie, like, it's not a game-changing kind of movie. It's not even a good movie, but I do think it's still entertaining.
Okay.
Like, there's some fun shit, especially in the final act of that movie. And it's got what's her name, who's phenomenally gorgeous in it.
Oh yeah, what is her name?
Daddario.
Alexandria Daddario. Yeah.
Yeah, she looks incredible. The whole cast, like all three of the girls in it.
Yeah, she's hot, but I think like I don't want to talk about We Summon the Darkness anymore. Heather says, question, have you guys watched Marshmallow? I've seen it pop up.
No, but I need to.
Yeah.
I keep hearing everybody telling me.
I haven't heard about this, so we got to watch Marshmallow.
I just keep wanting it to drop on I keep waiting for it to be on like one of the streaming services, but it's still only VOD. And I don't like, because it's like, then I don't like recommending movies where I'm like telling everybody, you got to go spend $6 to watch it, you know?
Yeah.
So I try to wait to watch, but I've heard a lot of good things about it. Like a lot of people are saying it's like the sleeper of the year kind of thing. So we'll see.
Oh,
I know it's supposed to be like a summer camper slasher kind of movie with a twist.
Okay, what were we talking? I'm going through these chats. Do you want me to read them?
Yeah, where were we?
I was just kind of Brad Pitt's worshiping Cthulhu. That's funny. I hope so. I'd worship Cthulhu. I was laughing at Otaku said LGBTQ plus barbecue.
Man, barbecue sounds good.
Dude, I can go for some ribs. Easy E says the Omen was creepy as hell back in the day at the theater. I wouldn't know.
I'm not a pirate. Why are Substance D? Are you calling me a pirate? I mean, I've been given the nickname the pirate, but I'm not a pirate.
K Depperment says the barbarian mother was hot. The boobarian. Ugh. God, I remember that scene. Ugh.
Imagine that scene, but if it was a hot chick.
Then it wouldn't be horror.
Makes it like a totally different movie.
We're in a different movie.
I'm just saying, like, picture the whole nursing scene and all that, but with the really hot chick. Like, it makes it says, such a different movie.
What's it? Mitsuri from Demon Slayer? What's this?
Mitsuri.
Hang on. Let me.
I've heard of Demon Slayer. It's like one of the biggest anime movies out there right now.
Mitsuri from Demon Slayer. She has pink hair. Oh wow. Okay. Let me try to find a picture we can show on YouTube. Well, I guess we can show all these.
Yeah, I understand, Mr. Halloween. I'm not saying it's a lot of money to rent on VOD. I've just been waiting for it to be on like Hulu or something where you're not having to rent it, because I prefer to recommend that there's nothing on screen. Oh, there we go. Yeah, but I mean,
we got a whole boob window here. Look at this. Like this.
But I'm saying she looks like every other anime.
Why can't I zoom
girl
in?
Now? That's why I was wondering, like, when did that start and who started that? Because like every anime girl now has big boobs, like they all do.
Well, good for anime fans. They're getting some good art. I just
I'm not against it. I'm just curious when it started, like what started it.
I don't know. I just can't. I wish I could get into anime. I just like there's some movies that I like. I did a review on.
Somebody asked if you're a pirate, say yes. Ghostbusters. I don't remember that line, Vorpal. What line from Ghostbusters is it? I just always deny because I'm not a pirate. Like, if you want to say I'm a pirate in the sense pirate radio, because that's where the whole Ghost Pirate name started. My first initial thought was to do like, pirate radio. And so Ghost Pirate, like pirate radio. The pirate wasn't necessarily that I'm like some selling the 7 Seas, but with the eye patch and everything, like I'm fine with being called the Ghost Pirate. I'm just saying I'm not an actual pirate.
John says female anime characters have always had two things: big eyes and perfect bodies. Best example, Vampire Hunter D's Doris Lang. It's currently on Shudder. Okay. I think I've seen Vampire Hunter D. I think I remember liking it.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, when did that start? Because I don't remember growing up seeing anime stuff with the girls having big boobs. You know, like the 80s stuff. I mean,
I don't know.
I remember heavy metal, but heavy metal's not really anime, is it?
It's not anime, it's animation, but it is
Yeah.
Western animation.
Well, like
It's not
big old boobs in that.
That's a great movie.
So
Al says, "What? I was a poser. You were a poser, Al. Why were you? Why don't you just live the life, brother?"
Hey, Philly's Blunt, thank you.
Philly's Blunt
Ghost Pirate membership.
Gifted 1 Ghost Pirate membership. So whoever got that membership, congratulations. Vorpal's in the chat. What's up, buddy? K Depperman says, "I got all my old Judas Priest vinyls. Those probably sound awesome." Phillies is pimping my channel. Thank you, Phillies.
Yes. Yeah, speaking of which,
go to my channel, because my video on. So I just watched. Dead Talent Society. It's a Taiwanese movie, and it's fucking great. And I did a review.
People are raving about this. People are raving about it.
I did a review on it, and nobody has got 26 views for the last 2 days. Like 0.9% click rate on my video. Like it just is in
the tank. Go blow that up.
So go help me because watch the movie.
A couple minutes long.
It's an awesome. It's 7 minutes,
but
there is spoilers. There is spoilers.
But
yeah, watch it on Netflix. It's so good. The writing is so good, and the acting, like these actors knew exactly what they were doing and knew exactly, like they knew what the script was and what the movie was, and they played all of their characters just perfectly. It's hilarious. It's heartfelt. Like you cheer at the end, and like you can tell that these filmmakers just love the movies that they make, or at least love ghost stories and stuff like that, because that's what it is. It's a ghost story. And they handle everything with such care and such passion. Like you can see it on screen. I fucking love this movie, and I wish I would have seen it last year when it actually came out. But
yeah, but you couldn't have. Because that's what
it was only in Taiwan. So US,
it was only in Taiwan, and it only was in film festivals around the country.
Oh,
so it debuted at the beginning of this year on Netflix, and no one knew about it.
So
so no one's talking about it. It didn't have some big nothing. It was just plopped on Netflix one day.
So for my year in review, I can bring it up as a 2025 movie.
Yeah, everybody, all the horror community is talking about that. It's just like the sadness. The sadness technically came out in I think it's from Taiwan as well, but it came out like 2 years before we got it here, in Western part of the world. Everybody looked at it as that year. Cause it's like, I always say this, like, dude, you can't say the year a movie comes out until everybody has a chance to see it. Yeah. It's not fair to be like, oh, well, I guess nobody gets to, count that one because it came out 2 years ago, but no one could watch it.
Watch Dead Talent Society. It is incredible. Hermes
I've heard. So
Hermes Girl is asking, what did you guys think of Presence? I thought it was good. It's not a horror movie.
Yeah. I actually, in my video that'll be coming out this Friday, I talk about it because it's streaming now this month on Hulu, I think. Yeah, Hulu. But that's my biggest knock on it as well, is mostly the marketing, because it's not the movie's fault. Like it's not trying to be a horror movie. Like it, you know what I mean? Like it is.
And Soderbergh's a good director, and I think he did a good job with this. But yeah, I think the marketing hurt it. It's not a horror movie, so like, if I'm critiquing it based on it being a horror, like it's not very good. But I can't do that, and I think it is a good movie. It's just
it's a drama thriller.
Yeah.
And the thriller element really is only in the final act. Yeah. Because like the movie does not make you feel nervous or scared. Like, from the very beginning that there's a supernatural presence in the house. And it's really a cool idea, because your perspective is you are the ghost. the camera, but you know what I mean? You're floating around this house being an observer kind of this family. And from the very
Yeah.
beginning that you're a spirit, like
Yeah.
your perspective is of the perspective of a spirit of some kind. You don't know who it is. You don't know why they're there. And there's lots of twists and turns because you're like thinking it at some points, you're thinking it must be this scenario or this person or whatever. And then it kind of switches around. But even though it's definitely not horror, that final act is super intense. Like
Yeah, it
the
is pretty
final
intense. Like,
10 minutes of the movie is pretty fucking intense.
Yeah. No, it's like I said, it's good if you just go into it not expecting a horror movie. That's all.
Exactly.
That's it.
And that's the thing. I saw so many people being like, dude, it's shit, it's not scary at all. And so like when word of mouth, when a movie like that is so small already, because it had like no marketing budget, it was just like barely in theaters. And then the word of mouth is basically like, fuck that movie. It lied to me. It made it look like a horror movie in the trailer. So I wasted my money. Instantly, that movie died. Like just instantly.
Yeah.
And I hate that. That's why marketing, it's like Pet Sematary 2019. I hated that movie for like 3 years because of the marketing. And then I went back and rewatched it and I was like, you know what? This movie's actually pretty good. Like it's not, I still don't love it, but I'm just saying, like, when you spoil the biggest twist in the movie in your trailer.
Yeah.
It's
Ice Princess says, I saw Jimmy and Stiggs a month ago. It was so fun. I definitely recommend seeing it in theaters for the experience.
Yeah, I want to see
it. I want to see it. I don't know if it's going to be showing in my area, but I want to see it.
It's getting a theatrical release, but I don't remember when. It's one of those ones I might have to drive to San Francisco to see it. Luckily, I don't have to do that very often, but
Mr. Halloween says Marshmallow's only $5 on Prime. I might rewatch it, then go see Megan. Okay, well, don't expect a good movie in Megan, according to Kanan. I have no interest in seeing it. I don't think it's going to be good. So
I would say Jurassic World Rebirth and Megan. Like if you have to pick one of the two, I would say Jurassic World Rebirth. 100%. I think most people will be entertained by both. You're not going to walk out of the theater being angry. You're not going to be like, they're fucking garbage like most people. But the spectacle of Jurassic World, like the script and the dialogue, is why I was so mad at that movie and frustrated with that movie. But it looks amazing. Like the dinosaurs have never looked this good. Like they're incredible. And there's a couple scenes in it that are genuinely scary again. And it's the first time I can say that for a Jurassic World movie or a Jurassic movie since the first, maybe the second, because the second had a lot of crazy intense scenes too. But unfortunately, the story and the dialogue is what lets this movie down. There's a lot of plot holes and shit where you're like, why would you, like, what are the writers thinking? But because it's directed by someone I think that is extremely talented and it has a talented cast and the special effects team are talented, like because all of that, it still has redeeming qualities. Whereas Megan, I just, if you're I know the right audience is still going to have fun with Megan, but as far as a movie goes, like I would be like, there's no way I would recommend spending $15 to go see it.
Nick says, I just watched Bring Her Back and Woman in the Yard. I liked Woman in the Yard better, if I'm honest. That's interesting. Why?
I like Woman in the Yard, but I don't think it's anywhere near as good as Bring Her Back.
Yeah, same.
But that's, me.
Hermes Girl
felt
says,
like Bring Her Back is a much more, like, it's better edited, better acting, like
it's better written.
Looks better.
It's just a better story.
It's a tighter story. Like everything feels like tight and like they know.
And it's a lot scarier.
But that's my biggest problem with Woman in the Yard is it feels a little loosey goosey.
Yeah, it
doesn't feel tight. There's a lot of things that are probably not actually holes in the plot, but the way it kind of twists and turn around, it makes you like you're like sitting there going, I don't know if that all adds up or if that stuff makes sense. Or like even at the very end, what we all argued about or discussed for weeks afterwards was like, what the hell does that ending mean?
Yeah.
Like, but it
Bring Her Back,
there isn't that.
it just wasn't good enough for me to want to explore that and like watch
That's
it
what I
again.
mean.
Like it was a good enough watch the first time. I don't regret spending the money to go see it in the theater, but like I'm not trying to watch Woman in the Yard again.
Yeah.
I,
But
I
bring
got
her, well, yeah, because bring her back.
bring her back. I am.
Yeah, but even that movie, both those movies are not fun watches. You know what I mean? They're both super bleak and dark.
Yeah, that you gotta.
Like
Yeah, you're
I
getting the
did
film.
watch
Yeah,
her back again the second time, and that really is just a testament to how talented of filmmakers
yeah.
those two
Those
brothers are.
brothers. Yeah, they're
Because
great.
it's just such
Yeah,
a beautiful, like as far as a piece of art, man. Bring Her
yeah.
Back is just phenomenal. Like,
It's great.
gorgeous.
Hermes Girl says because boys love animes.
So
Okay.
do girls. Dude, anime is just as popular right now with girls as it is boys. 100%. Like the younger generation of girls are super into anime as well.
Seiya says, dude, anime originated in Japan where most women have small breasts. So hey,
That's what I'm exactly.
I don't
Yeah,
want
that's
to hear
what I'm
any I don't want to hear any slander of the Japanese titties, Seiya. You take that back.
well, I do think that is probably the case. I mean, I think more, but it's not that they're tiny boobs. It's that a lot of Asian women are just smaller framed women in general. You know what I mean? You're not going to have some giant boobs on this tiny little 80-pound frame. But I agree with that. What she's saying is, I don't think it started there. And so, like, who started it and how did it become such a big thing?
I don't know. Substance D says, are you a god? Who? Easy E says, sex sells and everyone's buying. That's why they got big boobs. I mean, yeah. Occam's
Well,
razor.
yeah, but that's not, it's a stylistic choice. It isn't, the boobs in anime is not about sex selling. I don't think. I think it's part of the style of it. And that's why I'm curious on where that began. Like, because it's like, yeah, there is a sex element to it, but there was in comic books too, going all the way back, like American comics, and it wasn't necessarily sex selling. It's just the fantasy of it all.
K Deppermint says, I watched The Ruins after Kanan's recommendation. Can't believe I never seen or heard of it. So good. I must have been in a coma.
Love
Yeah,
that
The Ruins
movie.
is incredible.
Yep,
And it's
love that
got great
movie.
rewatchability
Dude, the
too.
practical effects in that.
Yeah.
That's the best thing about that movie to rewatch, is just pay attention to the effects in it. Like, everything is done practically. And
it's
they
awesome.
kind of had to, because CGI was not up to speed yet.
Right.
Like, when that came out, you could not have pulled a lot of that. It would have looked horrible if they tried to do CGI.
And it's terrifying. Like, just the concept of The Ruins is just terrifying. And I love, my favorite thing about it is how quick they get into it. Like, you start the movie and we're going. And
like, 10 minutes in, I mean, you're in. Like, within 10 minutes, you were fully in it. And like those the native people, the Aztec, the native, whatever.
Like, they try to get down and they're like, no.
Yeah, but that whole thing with the kid and all that is like,
yeah, dude. Yeah.
I saw it in theaters and I remember just being like blindsided.
Yeah.
Like, not at all expect that shit.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying exactly, because I'm sure there's people that,
if you haven't seen The Ruins, watch The Ruins.
Really
Heather says probably about mid 90s, early aughts is when it started, the big boobs in anime.
But I wonder if there's like what I'm talking about more is not necessarily when it started, but like, can you like pinpoint it? Like, who is the artist? You know what I mean? That started that and it became a thing. Because I'm sure there's one, kind of like with Marvel and superheroes. Like, even though Marvel didn't invent the superhero, Marvel and DC are who really made it a thing. Just like Halloween isn't the first slasher, but it's the one that made it a thing.
Right.
So that's what I'm talking about. I'm curious, like, who was the artist? Who was what was the anime that really made it a thing? Anyway.
John says Vampire Hunter D is credited as being one of the first adult animes, which came out in the 80s. So like, I don't know.
So maybe it's like one of the pioneers of, because it's not just the boobs, it's the whole aesthetic. You know what I mean? Like, the anime girl has an aesthetic to her. Like, there's a badass yet sexy kind of quality to it, and it's very specific to anime.
Al says everyone loves a good set of boobs. That's it. Yeah. It might be as simple as
but
that.
nobody's did not. I'm not. I just think I'm not like as an artist. I'm always interested in art, and so like I'm not even talking about the boobs per se. I'm talking about the art form of it. Like, of course, everybody loves boobs. Like that's the reason why it works. But I'm saying, like, who were the first people to really kind of take this and be like, hey, this is gonna be our, this is an anime girl. Like this is gonna be what has become. Because cosplay and all that is really birthed from the anime girl.
Scott really wants us to watch Leaving DC. He's been talking about this in the chat. Okay. Leaving DC. We get it, Scott. Thank you. Sorry.
Yeah, I had someone blasting me trying to pretend that there wasn't a movie of theirs. And like, I looked it up. I'm like, dude, you're obviously involved in the movie. Not this guy, but like,
yeah,
I get that pretty regularly.
Right, let me get.
I can't I don't review movies.
Is there anything good you guys are talking about? Anime. They're all talking about anime. Easy says Woman in the Yard wasn't scary.
Yeah. Are you okay? Why are you promoting Leaving DC? This is like.
Citizen Sleeve says
it's from 2012. Like,
I don't know. Citizen Sleeve says dropped. Please don't feed the children on Tubi the other day. Okay-ish. Oh, what's his name's Spielberg's daughter? It's okay-ish.
Oh, is that who? I was wondering why people are talking about that movie.
Because it's Spielberg's daughter. Yeah. So don't feed.
Doesn't look interesting at all.
I might check it out. Heather says, hey, I'm a 40-year-old woman. I've been a weeb since I was 7. Okay. What's a weeb? Oh, no. A weeb is somebody who likes anime.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, anime goes back at least to the 80s. I don't really think it goes before that.
Saya says, girls love boobs too, or at least I do. Yeah, I know. Everybody does. I don't understand.
The vast majority of women at least admire a good, nice pair of boobs. They at least admire it. Like even the women that are like firmly straight and they're not like sexually attracted to women, they still appreciate a nice pair of boobs.
Well, gay men also love boobs.
Exactly.
Like it's the universal.
They're one of the most beautiful things that humans.
Yeah. Well, they're the fairest
sex
for a reason.
Just like everybody can also appreciate a nice butt.
Yeah. True. Okay. Jerry says Daybreakers. Anyone? That was a good movie. I liked it. I saw it in theaters. I haven't seen it since.
It's such a cool universe. Like the best thing about that movie is the universe, the idea.
Yeah, there's a lot of world building in that.
Yeah, like they basically True Blood did. They kind of took that same thing and ran with it, like a similar universe where the vampires are like, they're not the dominant species yet in True Blood, but they're like kind of on their way there. Whereas in the movie we were just talking about, I just lost my train of thought.
I don't know. I'm looking at Diddy's ASCII boobs. You gotta get some more. You gotta get some more boob in there, Diddy. Come on, use that space bar. Okay. Well,
speaking of Diddy, can you believe that motherfucker got off?
No, I don't follow. He got off.
Basically, he was acquitted on all the major charges. The only ones that stuck are like the most minor things. They're saying he probably won't even do any jail time for it.
So what does he have on whoever was passing judgment on him?
But it's a jury, dude.
Oh yeah.
It's not like a judge that
but we know juries can be manipulated too. So
I know, but that's what's crazy about it is that it was a full-on jury that like I don't follow this stuff much either, but this is like, this is one that everybody was talking about.
Christian says, why does nobody ever talk about Here Comes the Devil, aka Ahí va el Diablo?
I don't know.
I don't know. Why does nobody ever talk about any movie?
There's a lot of movies.
Is it good?
There's just a lot of movies. Like end of statement. Like there's just a lot of fucking movies.
There's a lot of movies. So
I mean, I watch hundreds of movies every year, and there's still hundreds that come out every year that I don't see. Like that's what's crazy.
You said there were some trailers you wanted to watch.
Yeah, the main one is Running Man. Did you watch this yet?
No, I have not seen that. Let me pull that up.
All right, I'm gonna go grab another drink. I'll be right back.
Okay. Yeah, Running Man trailer. Let me get this. Trailer starts now. I will. I'm just getting through the whole trailer starts now. Cringe. I hate that stuff. All right, let's watch some Running Man trailers, folks. We'll talk about it, react to it. This is us trying to get more popular on Twitch because Twitch likes those reaction videos. I think they're kind of cringe, but we're going to do it anyway. So here is the Running Man official trailer.
That's not why we're doing it. We're just we just have something to talk about.
Why do I got to turn the closed captions off. Give me a second.
Yeah, I'm actually really excited about this movie, and I didn't think I was going to be.
35.
You've seen the original, right?
Yeah,
Arnold Schwarzenegger one.
We need money for a doctor now.
Ben,
but from what I was told, this is much closer to the actual book.
But there's still a way out for you. It's the biggest show in the country.
Bloodlust is our birthright.
Nice.
Set it free. Welcome to the Running Man.
I really like the
killed. Such a smash twice. Right there.
But I like that this is doing a different, like it's
Rules are
different.
simple. Survive 30 days. The entire nation hunting you down. And get your family out of Slumside for good. I'm gonna come back here.
And you know who's directing this, right?
Edgar Wright, it just said.
Yep.
That's the spirit.
This is America, goddammit! And we don't put up with no bullshit! Yes! Hunt him down!
Do you see what I mean? Because like the Arnold one was great, but it was really in a closed environment where he only was going up against the big soldier or the big professional killers.
Have you ever wondered if this game is rigged? Guess we'll find out.
You might be moving up too fast.
Nice. I don't know.
But the idea that he has to go up against everybody everywhere is fucking awesome. And like it's in a world that's a little bit beyond ours, but not so much further in the future that we can't relate to it.
Back at you.
This looks good. This looks like it could be good.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be great, dude.
I'm still here.
Like finally, we have 2 Stephen King movies coming that look actually good.
Hey, big boys!
Are you crazy?
Nice.
Can't wait for this, dude. I love Edgar Wright. I'm a huge fan of his style of filmmaking. Like, because his stuff's not always horror, but like every movie he's done, I have enjoyed. Like, even though they're kind of not always exactly in the horror, but this looks horror enough. Like, and it's like close enough in that world that we can talk about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, that looks cool.
I mean, the cast looks great.
Here's the thing. Like, this looks cool. I'm going to see it, but I wish we had an original movie. Like,
what do you mean?
This is just another remake.
Yeah, but there's lots of originals. No, this is not. It's from a book.
Yeah, but there was already a movie.
This is much closer.
I understand. I understand.
Because this is not. That looks a lot different than the Arnold one. Like,
yes,
so I mean, to me, it's like this, dude. I'm always much more okay with something that makes their own adaptation versus a remake. You know what I'm saying? Because like The Thing was not really a remake. It was a new adaptation from the same source material. And The Thing is much different than The Thing from Another World. And like this feels like that, especially when there's this long of a span of time. That's the other part that I'm okay with. Because it's like, the Arnold one came out in 87, I think, 88. It's like, that's almost 30 years. Or no, almost 40 years.
Almost,
Yeah, almost 40.
We're
So
getting
you know
older.
what I mean? So it's like, it's not like when, like certain ones where like Texas Chainsaw Massacre or whatever, they just keep rebooting every 10 years. Like, it's not like that. I have, that stuff's more annoying to me, but also we have a lot of originals coming out this year as well.
I know. I always would prefer seeing an original movie. That's all. That's my only thing I'm going to say, but I'm still going to watch this. So
yeah. Well, and that's why I'm still more excited for The Long Walk.
Yes.
Because that's a totally new Stephen King. I've made sure to avoid the book.
I hope that's good. I hope
because I don't want to know anything. I just want to go. I think it's going to be another one of those that is going to be very divisive and polarizing because I just hope to figure out something. Me and you both seem to. The movies that we usually agree on are the ones that are good, but they're bleak. And they're like kind of depressing, a little bit sad. Like, you know what I mean? Like we both were cool with Woman in the Yard. We both really like Bring Her Back. But across the board, it's very divisive. And I think it's because a lot of people, they'll dislike movies that have bleak, fucked up endings. They just do. Like people want to be happy and they don't like movies that stick with them. Like not the film fans, like not the film critic or like the, what do you call it? Cinephiles, but like the average Joe.
Well, I think, I don't know what to say. I don't know. I don't know if I can comment on that. The only thing I can think of is to bring up just the last thing that I said when we were talking about endings. I don't care if it's bleak or happy. I just want it to be satisfying. I want it to wrap.
I'm not talking about you.
No, okay. But I think
I'm not talking about you at all.
Alone. I don't think I'm alone in that. I think
you're not. But I'm saying you're not, like, you are not one way or the other on that, because like what I'm talking about is I feel like a lot of people that dislike 28 years later, a big reason why they disliked it is because it's sad and fucked up and like doesn't have a happy feeling to it. And you're different. Like I said, because you liked Bring Her Back, you're okay with a sad, bleak movie. You're fine with that. You had different issues with 28 years later, which is fine. What I'm saying though is like your average Joe, I feel like, because those same people that hated, like there's one person in particular that I'm not going to call him out because it's another YouTuber.
Call him out.
But no, but like he really I have thought about, like, we'll talk. But anyway, okay. He really disliked, like, two of the recent movies he really disliked were 28 Years Later and Bring Her Back. And
he disliked Bring Her Back?
Yeah. And a lot of people did. This is what I'm saying. And I think that sad bleak element, because it's the same people that didn't like Woman in the Yard. Like, they're just these people that I've heard a lot from, like a vocal, but the people that are kind of a little more into the mainstream, you wouldn't really consider them like cinephiles per se. You know what I mean?
I want to fight this guy. I want to know what I want to go a couple rounds with him. Why did he just not like it?
They're the ones
that hang on. Cause there's a difference. Did he just not like it, or does he think it's a bad movie?
I think it's a bad movie.
Okay. Yeah. Then I want to go rounds with that guy.
But that's what I'm talking about. I think a certain amount of people, when they say so-and-so was a bad movie, it has more to do with how they felt.
Does he have a mustache, this guy you're talking about?
Dude, like just a mustache? No.
Does his first name start with D?
No, but DJ loved to Bring Her Back.
No, Jerry's trying to add. Yeah. I don't have a mustache. I have a beard.
That's what I was gonna say. Like, it depends on if you think, because everybody's got a beard. Like, I don't almost know any guys that don't have beards. Like, you know what I mean? Like, almost every friend I have has some form of beard. But no, I'm not gonna call this person out. Like, maybe if we have that person on the show at some point, we could get into this. But I'm not gonna like just call him out. But and it's not just them. They were just the person that I heard talking about it that made me start to think about this. And I started noticing more and more people, and the movies they disliked and that they thought were bad movies were the ones that kind of had that bleak, tragic sadness to them that felt kind of depressing. Because, you know what I mean? And like,
yeah, I don't know. I guess it's just for me. Yeah, all I can speak to is me, and just so long as an ending's satisfying and it wraps up the plot logically and, you know, tells a complete story, I'm fine if it's bleak or if it's happy or whatever, just so long as it's a satisfying ending. That's all.
Yep. I would rather, I'm more than okay. I almost would rather a lot of times you have fucked up endings, because when we get too comfortable with the thought that everything is going to have a happy ending, there's no surprise left. You know what I mean? There's no stakes. And so, like, I think it's important to have a certain amount of art that doesn't leave you feeling good per se. It doesn't have, like, you know, maybe a satisfying ending, but doesn't, but I mean, it depends on what you consider satisfying, but you know what I mean? Doesn't have to have a happy ending, because, you know, then there's no stakes. That's what happened with Marvel. The fact that now anybody can come back because of time and all this stuff that they do, all the stakes are gone.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this. Do you think the ending of Star Wars The Last Jedi is a happy ending, since it wraps up the trilogy? Not the last Jedi. Return of the Jedi, sorry. Do you think Return of the Jedi is a happy ending? Do you remember the ending? It's okay if you don't.
Trying to remember it.
They're on.
I felt like isn't it leave
they're
you a
on
little bit
Endor.
dissatisfied?
They're on Endor and they're having a party because the Emperor, the Empire's, dead, and they're throwing fireworks and all that. But then Luke is burning Darth Vader on a pyre by himself and having a funeral for him by himself. Do you think that's a happy ending?
Hold on, which movie are you talking about?
I'm talking about Return of the Jedi. I misspoke when I said Last Jedi. That movie's a piece of shit. I'm talking about Return of the Jedi. The ending.
Yeah, it's not a happy ending, but it is a satisfying ending.
Yeah. So, but I think audiences love that ending. It's I wouldn't say it's happy, but it's satisfying. I think audiences like a satisfying ending.
Yeah, but I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about where it has like a tragic ending or a bleak ending or something that when you leave you don't feel happy about, but it's still a good ending, and you can't like argue that it was a good ending, or I don't know. It just depends on the movie.
I don't know. I think
like okay, so like good example. Shit, the Burning Man.
The Burning Man.
Fuck. Yeah, the big burning guy.
The Wicker Man.
Yes, the Wicker Man. Like super bleak, super fucked up, sad ending. Fuck. I don't know if I'd say sad, but very bleak and dark and fucked up. But yet it's a fucking amazing ending. Like the way it's shot, everything about it. It gets under your skin though, and after you feel haunted by it after, the same way I felt after Bring Her Back. Like I feel haunted from after the fact. But that's still a super good ending and a satisfying ending.
Yeah, I've only seen.
But I think a modern audience would not be happy with like if you were to make a new version, which we kind of did.
They did.
A lot of the mainstream audience was not happy with Midsommar.
Yeah,
it has a very similar ending.
I didn't think it was a good ending. I didn't think
it had only, dude. I felt like it ended the only way it could. It was like, this is literally, you knew this is the direction we're going with this.
I guess.
I'm just saying, like, I think your mainstream audiences are dumbed down in a way, and it's something that kind of eats at me a little bit. And I think more people need to look at themselves in the mirror and be like, do you really want art to all end with this happy, like dancing off and, you know, skipping together, holding hands like Wizard of Oz? You know what I mean? Do you want that ending? Because if you
want
give
a
every
satisfying
movie,
ending.
but if you give it, no, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about, we need to have all types of endings, because if we don't, then we lose.
So
that
long as they're
sense of
satisfying.
surprise. No, it could even be bad, because like there is, for an ecosystem of art, you got to have it all. Was what I'm arguing. I'm not saying that like,
but if we're talking about what's good or not,
yeah, I'm not talking about that. Like, I agree with you. A good ending should be satisfying. Doesn't mean it has to be a happy ending, but it needs to be satisfying. And I think the end of Wicker Man is phenomenal, but it's definitely not a happy ending. What I'm saying is,
I've only seen the Wicker Man once.
It ends with the dude burning inside of the
I
giant
remember
Wicker
that,
Man,
yeah,
and everybody dancing around the fire celebrating.
Yeah.
Like, it's so bleak and dark and fucked up, but it's the same with Midsommar. It's the only way this movie could end. You know, it's like, you know what I mean? When you have a movie that is designed in a funnel system, and that movie is like a funnel system, where from the beginning to the end, he is being funneled into only one outcome. And so it has to end that way. Even more so The Wicker Man than Midsommar. Because Midsommar, you could envision different things happening that might take it in different directions. But like The Wicker Man, especially when it's over and you look back on the movie, you're like, dude, the entire movie, the whole thing is funneling him into his demise. Like, it's so brilliantly written because of that. You know what I mean? But what I'm talking about is, you got to have it all. Just like we were talking about, you got to have stupid movies, bad movies, good movies. Like, to have a healthy ecosystem of art, you got to have it all and the possibility of it all. And that's what I'm talking about more than anything. It's like, people need to realize that you don't want every movie to have a happy ending. Be careful, because if people vote with their dollars, and the more you support,
Yes.
you know, the big stupid, you know, everybody wants to bitch about Hollywood making these bloated $250 million superhero movies that suck dick, right? But people still go out and spend their dollar to vote for those to exist. And that's why we're in this, you know, where we're in right now, where we've, you know, like, hopefully we're seeing a sea change. But the reason we got there is because people were voting by every year, billion after billions of dollars these movies were making. And so they're like, fine, this is what you want. This is what we're going to keep making.
Well, no, the reason. So, okay. All right. Well, Hermes girl, I'm going to get to you, because I don't think being American has nothing to do with wanting a hero to win at the end.
Yeah, not at all.
So I want to get to that, but
if anything, that's actually, I think, that's the opposite.
That is a human thing. Humans have been telling the hero's story for as long as we've been telling stories.
But like, I think
humans like heroes winning in the end. It's not
1970s movies never had heroes winning in the end, and that was very much an American
and it also depends on what genre we're talking about, blah blah blah. But anyway, so anyway, I don't think it's an American thing. But so God, fuck, that distracted me. Now I don't know. I don't remember what I was going to talk about. What was I just going to respond to? God damn it! All right, fuck it. I can't remember, so I'm not doing it. Terry says,
I was saying that to have a healthy ecosystem, you need to have all types
right, okay,
of movies.
I got it back. So if we're talking about,
the Marvel,
if we're talking about Marvel movies, if we're talking, because I am part of this audience, okay. I love horror. Horror's my passion. I watch horror, like that's it. But I'm a huge dork. I am a nerd.
Well, any one of us that spent any money on any of those superhero movies, we're all responsible. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, but wait. So what Disney Marvel have been getting away with for the last
5
since
years,
2019
6 years,
is they've been getting away with patronizing the goodwill of the fans. Like, oh, this is Marvel, so you'll watch it. It doesn't matter if it's shit. You'll watch it because you're a fanboy, because you're a fan and you like this, and this is all you're gonna get, so you're gonna watch it. So we're gonna feed you shit. And as good fans,
but it's not just Marvel, because this is also what Star Wars is doing as well.
It's Disney, okay,
and Disney animated movies and Disney live action movies.
Right?
It's Disney.
Yes, Disney is the biggest culprit of this because they own all the properties. But
Yep.
the goodwill of the fans is now gone. Star Wars is dead. Star Wars fans are apathetic. It's dead.
It's all losing
Marvel
money.
fans,
like everything Marvel or everything
Right.
Disney's doing is losing money right now.
So because of that, so now they're starting to feel it because all of their movies have been bombs the last 2 years. So now they're starting. If Fantastic Four bombs, Marvel Studios is being put on the shelf. I guarantee that.
I actually think
Fantastic
that
Four.
initially we're going to see Superman out the gate probably do better than Fantastic Four, but I got a feeling that ultimately Superman is going to bomb bad and that Fantastic Four will end up being the winner this year of the superhero movies. I just have a feeling it's going to be a better movie.
It might win, but I think both movies are going to lose. I think both movies are not going to make profit. And Fantastic Four absolutely has to make profit.
The problem is it's almost impossible to make profit. Like even if they make good movies, because they just spend so much money on these fucking
Spider-Man,
movies.
No Way Home, Spider-Man, Far From Home. They're good movies. People went out during COVID to go watch it. It made $1 billion because they're great.
Yeah.
So no, I disagree. If you make a good movie, people will go watch it.
But Fantastic Four
don't
is
make a
nowhere
good
near
movie,
the size of property as
Spider-Man. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Even if it was. So here's the thing. Iron Man before the Iron Man movies was a C-list superhero in the comic book universe. The reason why he's now like the A-list superhero is because of how good his first movies were. That's why he's such an icon now, but he was a C-lister in the comics.
But that's a different thing.
It's not a different thing. The Fantastic Four, are they're not more popular than Superman, that's for sure. But I think both movies are going to have the same problem. They're both going to have very strong opening weekends, but then every weekend after that, it's going to drop off. And that's where I think they're not going to make they're not going to make their money. It's going to look good because the opening weekend.
Well, yeah,
but then
because it'll come down to this. It's going to come down to good movie. Like and that's what if they're good, either of them are actually a good movie. That's where we'll see them make like $1 billion kind of deal.
Right. And so
I agree. I'm not saying you're wrong, but what I'm saying is they have made it to where, because there is something else at play in all this. It's Iron Man in a vacuum is a good movie.
Yeah.
But Iron Man also had nothing. There was no expectations. There was like the other superhero movies that had been made to that point were trash. So like it wasn't nearly as difficult to make a killing as it is now. That's the other thing. And so like, it's hard. Fantastic Four can still make that, but it's got to be a damn good movie.
I would love to be in the timeline where
Superman's the one that I think we're going to see a bomb, because I really think people are going to be super divisive on that movie, and DC is fucked if they lose money on that thing.
Both studios. That's what makes this so interesting. Is if Superman bombs, then DC's fucked, and if Fantastic Four bombs, Marvel's fucked.
No, but they're not though. That's the thing. That's what's fucked about Marvel, and why even though they are losing money, they're still like not even flinching, because they make so much money from their merchandise, from their toys, from their fucking roller coaster rides, and superhero, like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, man. But when you're talking
DC doesn't have that. DC, if they lose money again on a movie, like, they're fucked.
More people are going to buy Superman toys. Like that. I mean,
DC doesn't make anywhere near the merchandising that Marvel does. Not even close. They don't, because DC has been bombing for a long time. It's not like DC had, they've had Batman, but besides Batman, everything has lost money.
Well,
because even when Marvel has this year, right?
But everything,
if you look at the Marvel movies, no, but they're still not losing like DC's losing money.
Every single Marvel movie that's come out has bombed since,
but not like
Black
DC.
Widow.
But not like DC. We're talking DC's lost like hundreds of millions.
Shareholders,
Marvel. Marvel's just not making money off of a lot of theirs. They're still coming close to breaking even or right around breaking even. DC is
No.
like look at Flash, dude. It was like people saying that they lost 500 million on that movie. Like a lot of these movies, DC, Marvel isn't losing that kind of money. Like they're not making money, and in essence, yeah, they are losing money. But I'm just saying it's not as dire of a situation as DC.
When you have shareholder meetings and all you're doing is presenting them losing money,
dude. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that Marvel, they're in trouble, right?
I'm just saying
they're not. I'm just
I
saying
don't think they can eat it anymore. Like
DC.
you're saying they can. You're saying they can still eat it. I disagree. I think they're going to lose shareholders.
Because I think
they're going to lose investors.
Because just like what we saw with this what was the last Marvel movie?
Thunderbolts.
Thunderbolts.
Oh, the new Avengers.
Yeah, but if you look at it when it's all said and done, it's going to break even.
It's not.
It did.
I'll go look at the numbers right now.
Fantastic Four is probably going to go right around breaking even as well. And you look at the worldwide on them, right? The difference is DC, one, they're not Disney. You know what I mean? They don't own, like, it's not nearly as big of a fucking, but more than that, DC has just had, look at the last couple DC movies. Like, they're like losing hundreds of millions, not even coming close to breaking even.
The budget. I gotta do.
I mean, look at the fucking look at Madam Web, dude. I mean, look at the movie. I'm telling you, look at Craven. Look how much money DC has lost on their last like 4 or 5 movies. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying that Marvel.
Well, Craven wasn't DC.
Yeah, it is.
No, Craven is a Spider-Man villain.
Sony.
Well, but Craven's also Marvel. I mean, it's Sony, but Craven is a Spider-Man villain.
No, I know, but it's Sony. So like that's not a Marvel issue either.
Sorry, I'm doing some math here.
See, I guess DC hasn't done quite as bad. What's the last few DC? Flash, right? Is that the last one then?
Yeah. So okay. So
yeah, they're not as bad as I was thinking. Sony is the one that's like just being demolished.
Thunderbolts lost money. Okay, it made 381 million worldwide.
Okay,
half of that goes to the theaters. So cut that in half for your
and it was like what $200 million budget.
It was 180 million. We can call it 200. I'll call it 180. It made 382. You figure they're spending at least half of that on marketing. So you got 90 million spent on marketing. This movie needed to make 600 million to break even.
Yeah.
And it made 381. It's not breaking even.
I didn't
it's losing money.
Yeah, but it's not losing money like Marvel.
Losing
like
$300 million?
I'm just saying it's not losing. Well, it's not quite that bad either. If you look, I'm sure merchandise and other
give or take 10 million.
And it's going to make some money on streaming. But
compare
maybe I'm way off, but compare it to Flash. Look at Flash. See how much.
Yes, that also bombed. What I'm trying to say is
no. I know. I'm saying how bad how compared are they closer than I was thinking? Look at Flash.
All right, hang on.
Because I was under the assumption that like they lost a shitload comparatively.
I'm looking it up right now.
But I was also in my head getting confused with the Sony stuff. Because those are the ones that are just being demolished.
What year did that come out?
2022. 2023. Yeah, 2023.
The Flash film 2023. Oh my God. Yeah, no, this movie. Oh God. This movie, okay, because they were lying about budgets. Because
they're saying I've heard 260 to 300 million.
Yeah, but it says, but what they're saying is anywhere between
it was more than that.
200 to 220. So that means it was probably closer to 260 or 300. It made 271 in the box office.
Yeah.
So yes, this lost a shit ton more than the Thunderbolts,
and that's what I'm saying. Like,
when we're talking about
Marvel's doing good,
but
even on a movie that they thought they knew wasn't going to do it, they knew Thunderbolts wasn't going to make. Like they knew
they thought it was.
No, they just like I told you from the beginning. Marvel, their eggs are all in the Fantastic Four basket.
I know.
They weren't in Thunderbolts. Now, if they lose, if like Fantastic Four does the same kind of numbers as Thunderbolts, then now it's a problem. You know what I mean?
That's what I'm
But
saying.
Flash was like DC had all their chips in that basket. Like they put a lot of money and everything into that.
Yeah.
That's why it was so bad that they literally just canned everything and started all over. So that's why I don't know how bad it will be if Superman does horribly, because I wonder, like, they're starting completely over. I just wonder what their expectations are for Superman.
All right. So here's what my expectations for Superman.
Do they have that listed yet on what its projections are?
I don't know, but and I'm not a big Superman fan, but if I want to see a Superman movie, I want to see like the hero's hero. I want to see him say truth, justice, in the American way,
and not be like kind of edgy. Like that's why a lot of people had a problem with the last.
Yeah, I don't want a new 52, not new 52. I don't want because that's what his Superman logo looks like, a logo from a version that I wasn't good. But
yeah, it was like they were trying to make him closer to Batman.
Yeah, I don't want
not Superman.
This
one looks there's a bit of like, gee golly guys, like there's a bit of that to this newest looking Superman, like from the trailer and stuff. Like it looks like he's gonna be like a little bit like, cheesy.
I want to see a superhero. I want to see him saving the day,
like the cleft chin.
I want to see a hero's journey in Superman. That's what I want to see. I want to see Clark Kent and Superman go through a hero's journey. I want it to be as typical as possible for a Superman movie like this. That's what
especially when you're setting up a brand new universe. Like
exactly. I want to,
and that's why I wonder if
they're of us,
because I feel like they should be looking at it as, even if this movie doesn't kill, it's the beginning. Like you're planting a seed. Like there's only so much you can do.
I disagree. I think there's,
but I doubt it.
I think there's a plethora of source material that you can tap into to make a good story. But
I agree. I'm not saying they can't. I'm saying if I was DC and I'm like, it's what I'm saying is, I can't imagine DC feels like they're putting all their chips into this one basket, even though I kind of think that they probably are.
I think they are.
But they shouldn't be, because like if you're rebooting everything and starting all over, like you got to be, it's kind of like hiring a new coach.
They can't make a Batman movie.
You lose the first game and you're like, all right, we need another coach.
They can't make a Batman movie for another like 5 years, because Matt Reeves finished his script on the Batman and that's not coming out until 2027.
Yeah.
Like DC's still
got
hurt,
a bunch of movies in the process.
Jerry says, none of my beeswax, but are you two friends out in the wild or just on the interwebs? No, we're buddies. But the only problem is we live on the opposite coasts of the country.
The coast, yeah.
That's the only problem. But Kanan
we would hang out more if we weren't like.
Yeah, we would definitely hang out if we're in the same area. Kanan came and hung out on the set of the Hellgate when we were shooting that, and that was a good time. And then I hope to go to AFM this year, or somewhere close out there in Cali, and we're gonna hang out then. So yeah, we're buddies.
I would say too, the internet is very different than network TV. So what I mean by that is, I think most podcasts and things that you see on YouTube and on the internet, there's a lot more authenticity to it. Like a lot of the people you see are actually friends.
Yeah.
Like it's different than like network TV. Like even to this day, like if you watch ESPN or whatever, like dude, they're just colleagues. Like very rarely do any of them really like would hang out or really talk or, you know what I mean, be actual friends. Like they just work together.
Right.
But the internet is just very different. It's like I'm genuinely friends with all the different YouTubers. Like the other horror YouTubers, like we're genuinely friends. Like we don't just talk on podcast or, there's a lot of conversations and stuff that goes on behind the scenes. And especially if you go and meet up at different like events and things like that.
Yeah.
It's just like what a lot of people talk about, they love about the horror community is like the actors and the people that cover it and like horror in general, everybody's friends, like genuinely friends.
Yeah,
You
we're
know,
a
like the
good
people
group.
that go to these cons and stuff, like they're, you know, they all know each other and like genuinely do hang. Like it's cool to hear Dead Meat James talk about it, because like he hangs out with all these people. Like they'll have birthday parties and all these, you know, who's who horror celebrities or whatever. They all go there, not on camera, not, you know, like they just are all actually friends. So
Right. Casey, I wanted to put this up on the screen for everybody because it does help us. If anyone has questions, put in all caps question before the
Yeah.
question so that we can see it. So yes, please do that, because I try to skim the chat, but if I see a big question, that's going to catch my eye. So do that if you have a question for us.
Or a super chat, of course, which
And obviously
is
super
always
chats
nice. Helps pay
always
the
get
bills.
read.
People
They
don't
will
realize, but we don't make any money doing this. Like it actually costs us money to do this.
Heather says Fantastic Four won't with Pedro Pascal. I am likely to agree.
It'll have nothing to do with him one way or the other.
I don't know, man.
Like if the
People are
movie's
getting tired
good,
of
it
seeing
won't
his face.
be necessarily because of him. And if the movie's bad, like, that's the one thing about Pedro Pascal.
Well, no.
He is a very talented actor, and he puts himself and commits to every role. And
Yes.
so if this movie sucks, it won't be because of him. But at the same time, he's not the main thing either. Like that's one of the things about Fantastic Four is they all kind of have to, like every one of them needs to do a good job.
Yeah,
it can't
but
be carried by one.
Yeah, but Mr. Fantastic needs to be the leader. Mr. Fantastic needs.
But if you think about
the head of the Four,
if you think about the other Fantastic Four movie, like not the shitty one a couple years ago, but the one before that, the first Fantastic Four movie, like Johnny Flame is one of the most memorable things about that. And it's, you know what I mean? Like there's each one of the Fantastic Four have unique personalities and styles and characteristics and powers. So like there's a lot. That's all I'm saying is there's a lot more than just him. And it's also not like Pedro Pascal is not a good actor. Like he's a really good actor. Most people's issue is he's just in everything right now. And like, I get that, you know, but
Terry, how do you hate Iron Man?
Please, the first Iron Man,
how do you hate
Iron Man? Or
like just the character or the movies? How do you hate them? That's crazy to me.
Like the first two Iron Man movies are peak, like straight up. Those two movies are as good as a superhero movie can be. Like I love the whole setup. Like that first movie, I just rewatched it not too long ago, and like the whole setup of it, like the way Tony Stark has to have this growth, like the way it's written and the performance, like dude, it's so good.
Citizen Sleeve says test screenings are mainly Hollywood and New York, thus American. Everyone loves heroes, but you guys really do. The American dream, right? UK doesn't have that. Europe doesn't really have that.
That's not true. What you just said is not true.
Okay,
I
so
live in Sacramento, like 9 hours away from LA, and we get screenings here. Well, that's the screenings that you hear about, that literally they take place in small towns, like everywhere, all over the United States. There isn't the premieres. The premieres are LA and New York, but those have nothing to do with the screenings and like the voting and all that. Like if you see the cinema score and things like that, or Rotten Tomatoes, that's people from all over the United States. It's not.
I want to address this, like talking about heroes. Y'all in the UK are responsible for one of the greatest heroes stories in King Arthur. So like that story has inspired most of the heroes stories that are modern. And hang on.
The Greek mythology is what really started the superhero thing. So
yeah,
you know, so
Beowulf,
like we all
Beowulf.
All of them. I mean, like you can go back
to
before that, Mesopotamia. Like
yes, but that's what I'm trying to say.
Like, I'm the Odyssey, about, dude, is like the superhero story. It's the
Yeah, but I'm not talking about superheroes. Like I'm talking about just heroes, just the hero.
I said superhero. I meant hero. The Odyssey is the original hero story.
But I'm not. Well, Beowulf is
before the Odyssey.
Yeah.
Isn't Odyssey part of mythology, like Greek mythology?
So when we're talking about age,
Because hold
hang
on,
on.
Beowulf is Viking Norris origin, right? Story.
Yes. Hang on.
Well,
Okay.
the one I was thinking of is actually before either of those, and it's the Mesopotamian story of what's his name, where the flood story comes from. Damn it.
So, oh well, all right, never mind. Beowulf might be a little bit newer. It says it was produced around 975 to 1025 AD. And that's still pretty fucking old. But yeah, I don't know when the Greeks
Like I said, the oldest one where they all come from is Sumerian. And it's
yes.
what's the name of the guy? It basically
Homer.
his story. No, that's the Odyssey. That's the one I was talking. This is before that even.
Yeah,
like,
so you're right. The Odyssey is way older than Beowulf. Never mind. I'm talking out of my ass.
but what's even older than all those is the Sumerian one. The I'm forgetting his
Tiamat?
name. No.
Sargon.
No, but
Sargod
it's the guy who the whole flood story that's in the Bible origins,
Noah,
like where it comes from.
Sargon.
Yeah, but
of
Noah
Akkad,
is actually a version of a similar story. It's like the first Odyssey. I forget the name of the guy, but he was like a superhero basically. He was the hero of the time. And I'm like, why can't I remember his name? But it's like the first hero story.
Look,
but anyway,
all right, you're throwing me off.
It's basically what I'm saying is heroes are a human thing. They're not a Western culture. They're not, you know what I mean? They're literally a human thing. Every single culture ever has stories of heroes.
Look, what I'm trying to say is what Citizen is saying is that the hero love is more of an American thing. But the contrast I'm trying to make is that the UK is responsible for one of the greatest hero stories.
Epic of Gilgamesh. Is
Gilgamesh, right? Okay,
first. It is the first written down hero story.
Great. I'm happy we figured that out. What I'm trying to say is that it's culturally speaking, England is a little more responsible and a lover of heroes. And even more modern is...
But I don't agree. They're just older, man.
I just said even more modern is Tolkien's fantasy epic, The Lord of the Rings. Yeah. Like that is also like one of the greatest hero stories ever told.
Because what you're saying, what DJ is basically saying is that superheroes are just horror or just hero stories, period. Like you can call them superhero because it's like a different twist on it all. But like what I'm talking about, go back to Epic of Gilgamesh, it's all just simply hero stories. And England is our parents, you know what I mean? Like, well, yeah, but I mean, there are stories about heroes, and the UK is our parents. Like, all our stories came from the UK. Like, most Americans, we have at least some blood in us from, you know what I mean, that came from across the pond. Because even if you have Native American in you, a lot of you Native people still have, you know, European.
There was some crossbreeding. So, there was some crossbreeding.
Yeah, either way, I'm just saying, like, there's European blood runs through most of Americans, and then our country is founded on people that were literally straight up from there. So, like, our stories and all that, you know, it comes from those older stories.
Let me see.
But here. I think people love stories. And all I was saying, and when this whole thing got derailed, is that be careful what you wish for. And what I mean by that is when you talk shit and you dog on a movie because you walk out of the theater and feel mad because something sad happened, like a hero at the very end dies at the end, and you're like, dude, that's fucked up. Fuck that movie. And you talk shit about it and all that. That's fine. It's your prerogative. But be careful what you wish for, because the more you talk shit about endings and stuff like that, what you're doing is you're voting for the happy endings. And the problem with that is you eventually will end up in a world like where we're at with Marvel right now, where everything is boring and dull and cookie cutter. It's like what we're seeing with Blumhouse, where they're just trying to make shit that makes everybody happy, and that doesn't work.
And they're trying to make everybody happy, but making
they're
nobody
making nobody
happy.
happy.
Yeah.
And that's why the best way is to just be a fucking artist and make art. It's like why I love 28 years later. I know there's problems with it. I'm not saying there's not. I know a lot of people didn't love it. That's fine. But I'm like, at least the guy's got big fucking set of brass balls on him and just did his fucking thing. Your cat is beautiful, even with its holes in its head.
I know. He's so
They're holding it up. There's like all these spots like seeing through your cat.
I gotta get an actual green screen for behind me.
But you know what I'm saying? Like, you may not like 20 years later. That's fine. You can come out of the theater and be like, it wasn't for me. I didn't like it. Whatever. That's fine. But it's just one of those things that we still need that. We still need artists that are brave enough to make something that maybe we won't like. You know what I mean? Like if you just simply are trying to, it's like what I've had to learn with this channel. I cannot think about you guys when I make something per se. Like I still have to be like, do I stand behind this list? Are these movies that I genuinely recommend, or are they movies that I know people are going to like? You know what I mean? Like there still has to be an element of me having an opinion, because if I just simply try to placate everyone, like you said a minute ago, by trying to please everyone, you end up pleasing no one.
Yeah. Casey, my cat is not well behaved. He is a jerk. He just is trying. The reason he's on my lap right now is because he's trying to tell me it's dinner time, even though he already had his dinner. But he is not well behaved. He bugs me every day.
There is no well-behaved cat.
Yeah.
There's either a cat that's kind of old and fat and lazy and just kind of lays around a lot, or there's a strong-willed younger cat that just does whatever the fuck it wants. Like there is no well-behaved cat.
And he's in between those ages right now.
Yeah.
Because he does kind of lays around, but like he still gets the zoomies, and he still like wakes me up when he thinks it's time for breakfast and it's not. And
I adore cats, but they very much are just their own thing. Like they're not like dogs. Like dogs, there is such a thing as training them and getting a well-behaved dog. But cats, I don't care. You can do some stuff and train your cat some. But like I remember having cats that every morning, like you said, would bug me for food. And I tried for years to break them of that, and tried everything in the world to get them to not do that. Doesn't matter. They still do it because cats do what the hell they want.
Yeah. Oh, he's a good boy. He just bugs me. All right. What else? What do we want to talk about before we get out of here?
Caught up on the chat.
Okay. Everyone's talking about my cat. Let me scroll up a little bit. Everybody's correcting us on the Odyssey and stuff. Thank you guys for doing that.
Correcting. I'm the one there's no correcting. I'm the one that said it was older.
Yeah, but they got to it before us. That's what I'm trying to say.
Okay.
Otaku says Samwise is a real one. Yep, Samwise Gamgee, real hero. Gilgamesh, see, Tenderloin Stew figured out before we did. John says, question, didn't Deadpool and Wolverine make a shitload of money? Yes, it did. And the reason why it did that is because it gave audiences exactly what they wanted. It wasn't a very good movie, but it was very much an audience pleaser, and so that's why it made a bunch of money. Why it made a bunch of money.
The reason it made a bunch of money is because of talented people behind it. It's that simple.
They gave the audience
what they wanted, right? But they still knew how to do that. And there's a skill in that. Like Marvel just tries to
story and plot.
There's a difference, but there's a difference. They still had they knew what people wanted and they gave people what they wanted. But if that is all Marvel had to do, they would always make money with every movie. But they don't.
Because they don't do that. They don't give audiences what they want. That's the exact opposite. They don't give audiences what they want. That's why it doesn't make money. Well, Deadpool and Wolverine gave audiences what they wanted, and they made money.
But they didn't dumb everything down. They didn't try to make everything.
Yes, they did. That's one of the stupidest movies ever. Like, yes, they did.
Dude,
And that's
yes,
wait,
but it's
wait,
like,
wait, but that's the
dude,
point.
they fucking
That's
no,
the
but
point.
they literally like shit on Marvel and all the boring stuff that they do.
Sort of. I think they pulled a lot of punches.
I just think the reason it's what everybody wanted is because people are very tired of the like super PG type of movies that are all like,
They're tired
like
of bad
people are
writing.
sick of that shit.
They're tired
It's
of
not
bad
just
movies.
that though. People want something that's a little spicy. That's gonna be something a little like maybe it wasn't different as in story, it wasn't super different, but the humor style, the way it looked, like the different things they did in it, it was bold and different and did do stuff different than what we've been seeing from Marvel. And so, like, do they have to reinvent the wheel in order to make money? No. Like, because that movie didn't reinvent the wheel. Do they have to be super original to make a bunch of money? No. But they need to at least bring something to the party. And like Ryan Reynolds always entertains. And you know what I mean? Those two, no matter what the script was, they're just really entertaining actors. And you know what I mean? It was just the dialogue of the two of them alone, back and forth. People are going to spend money to go see.
Okay. Sega says, I'm sure there have been stories about heroes back in the Stone Age. Well, yeah, we're just talking about the earliest recorded story is Gilgamesh, I think.
Well, yeah, there's no way of like, it is believed that humans have been telling stories since we could communicate, right?
Yeah.
But
yeah.
We have some examples of that with cave paintings and things that we are pretty sure, like in some of the caves where they have animals.
Oral storytelling has been
we're pretty sure that those were like almost a version of the first TV. It's like they would paint, and as they painted these animals and drew these animals, they would be telling a story, have little fire and telling a story. And like, that's how the original stories were told, is what we believe in a lot of those cases.
Yeah.
So it's believed that humans always have, but it's just Mesopotamia and the Sumerians are like the first written, they're the first culture we know had a written writing.
Right.
And so, there is possibly we'll eventually discover, an even older culture, but to this point, there's nothing older that we have any kind of writing from.
Right. Scott says it must
cuneiform. It's the first.
Scott says it must be hard to make a fresh horror movie now. Nope. It's not hard. I mean, it's hard in the sense that it's hard to make a movie, but it's not hard to make a fresh horror movie. There's plenty being made all of the time.
It just, you got to have an original thought. It's something that I think a lot of people misunderstand. It like, we're not saying you have to have them like, the whole story of it has to be like nothing we've ever seen before, but you got to have something that's creative. And usually it comes down to how it's put together, because if you boil everything down, there's only, what do they call it? There's 3 different story types, right? Like when you boil it down.
No, when you boil it down, there's only one story.
No, there's
humans have been telling one story.
There's 3 or 4 different. No, there's literally, I think it's 4 types of stories that exist, like classifications.
Well, so there's comedy, drama, tragedy.
Well, I think there's 4 because is mystery one of them.
But they're all the same story.
There's
like
7. There's 7. Oh, it's more than that. There's 7 plot archetypes.
Right.
There is the overcoming the monster, rags to riches, the quest, voyage and return, rebirth, comedy, and tragedy. And so those are literally the only types that humans know how to make. So like, it's just like a painting. When I made art, when you first start, right, you try to copy something. You like see things that other people do and you just try to copy that and make that thing. But eventually when you learn skills and all that, the more skilled you become, the more you just start to put things together in your own way. And where the original thought comes from is not that you're not still inspired by all these things that you've seen. Those are, but you got to think of it as like ingredients into making your food or whatever. You take all these influences and put them together, and it's the way that you shit all that out, the way that you express all that out is because, like, Basquiat said it in this way. He said, it's through my new eyes. He's like, I take in all that same information, but it's through my new eyes where art becomes different.
Right.
That's what it comes down to.
Right.
And that's why they say a good artist copies, a great artist stills. Because when you copy, it's going to look like another artist, right? When you steal, means you take all that in, it's yours, and then you put it out through your new eyes and make a unique piece of art.
John Connor says a great example.
And that's why I argue with DJ a lot, is he is very much like the story has to be unique and all that. I say it can also be visuals. Because there's sometimes you'll see a story that is like a story we've seen before, but the way it looks and the way it feels is what makes it unique.
John Connor says a great example of a filmmaker trying to be original, but didn't catch on was A Cure for Wellness. Such a beautifully shot film and one of the first of Mia Goth. Yeah, I really enjoyed A Cure for Wellness.
The only problem I have with Cure for Wellness, and I think the only thing that held it back from being like, and I think it still could end up being a cult favorite eventually, like kind of being rediscovered. But I felt like the very end of it, like some of the effects they use, like CGI kind of stuff, does not look great.
Yeah.
I'm just saying the very, very, very end, that final showdown thing, was a little bit like, and it's like a lot. Like, for instance, I don't think, shit was a movie I was thinking of. Smile. I don't think Smile is going to go down. You know what I mean? Like, we all enjoyed it. It's good, entertaining, good movie, right? But it's not going to be something that we really talk about in 20, 30 years from now. Not like as a classic. And then it was the ending. The ending held that movie back. Barbarian is another one of those. Same with The Black Phone. Those are all really good movies that I really liked. But the endings of them, if they had like a fucking just bam kind of ending, like a really, really good ending, all three of those movies could have been like horror classics,
Yeah. Heather says, I get it. I found out my aunt and cousins who want original stuff, but they hated Sinners because they thought it was boring and predictable. What?
This is the thing I have seen quite a bit. And it surprised me at first, but then I realized it's because people went in to see a horror movie. And Sinners it's not just a horror movie. It's a lot more than a horror movie. And if you go in just wanting to see scary vampires, then you're going to be like, it's boring. It's the humanity in it. It's what it's saying about art. I'm sorry, this sounds pretentious, but I'm telling you, it went over a lot of people's heads. You know what I mean? Like, the statement about art and how it connects us through time, is the way they showed that was one of the most powerful, like, ways I've ever seen a filmmaker show something like that and express that. And I know for a fact it went over the heads of a lot of people, and people just wanted. The reason I know this is because I have seen so many people compared to Dusk Till Dawn and say Dusk Till Dawn was better. And I'm like, that's literally apples to oranges. The tone of those movies is 100% different.
I don't know if it's apples to oranges. What I think it is I think
it's pretty close.
I think
they're both vampire movies, but that's where the comparison ends.
Yeah, but they both do the same thing. They both start out as one. Shut up. They both start out as one movie and then become another one.
No,
like almost like that.
How does? Okay. How does
if you didn't see any of the Sinners trailers, there are a couple of flashback scenes in that opening scene that sort of give you an idea that something's going on. But that's all that they do. And I would argue that was not
because because the vampire guy shows up to that house and the Native Americans.
I know, but we don't know exactly what's look. It doesn't.
There is foreshadowing.
It doesn't do exactly what From Dusk Till Dawn does, but it does do a similar thing. That's why people are comparing it.
But hold on. Dusk Till Dawn, there's no foreshadowing. There's literally nothing to lead you to think that this is going to go down.
Correct.
Sinner's very different. The very beginning of Sinner shows you him like literally the first minute. Right. He rolls up with the fucking shit scar on his face and his dad, and then there's foreshadowing over and over and over. Like, I'm telling you, yes, it does like have a flip point where it really becomes a horror movie, but it's not like it comes out of nowhere, and it's not like they're two different movies. Like Dusk Till Dawn is literally two different movies smashed together.
Yes. So, that's why I was saying.
But even if you want to say that, I'm talking about the tone. Like the tone of these movies is like 1,000 miles apart. Like Dusk Till Dawn is campy and silly and funny and fun.
They're different movies. But the
dude's got a penis fucking gun, man.
They're different movies, but there are similarities that can be drawn between the two. That's all I'm saying.
I just think what I was saying by that though is not that you can't find any similarities, but that if you make that comparison, it shows me that movie went over your head. I'm sorry, it just does. Because what makes them so different is that stuff. The meat. I don't know. Said the tone. Like what Sinners is trying to say and show and do is fucking high level art. You know what I mean? Like it's a powerful fucking movie. Dusk Till Dawn is just a silly, fun vampire movie. Like, you know what I mean? They're just such different things.
I don't know if From Dusk Till Dawn would be received as well today.
It would be like everything polarizing. Everything is polarizing now, man. But it kind of was then. Like, I don't know if you remember, you might not be quite old enough, but like there was a lot of people like Dusk Till Dawn was very much because a lot of people were pissed at that movie because like they went in thinking one thing, you know, because it wasn't like now where everybody sees the trailers and you're forced to see the trailers.
I'm back. Sorry. I was closing my shade. Heather says, question, the different story types are not all basically the hero's journey. Yes, they are. It's just it's the same story, but there's different plot types for you to get there. The hero's journey is the only
man. I thought hero's journey is
no, it's
okay.
A character starts off one way, goes through conflict, and then either changes or changes the world around them. Hero's journey,
and it's
in a nutshell.
The setup. It's the setup and the ending that separates them, right?
Well, sort of, yeah. But so you can tell the hero's journey 7 different ways, and these are the different ways. But within those 7 different ways, you can have all original ways to say it. It's like writing music.
It's like paint, or writing music. Like you only have so many notes to choose from when you play music. You only have so many different colors of paint to choose from. But it's like I said, it's how you process it through your new eyes. That's what makes it different because you're the ingredient. Like that's the problem. And that's why I know DJ agrees with me on this too, is like a lot of these writers don't have the journey. You know what I mean? They're not having to go through the shit to get there. They're not having to earn it. There's a lot of these studios like Blumhouse that are just throwing money at these people that do not have the experience. Like Night Swim is a perfect example. Like the guy that made Night Swim, he made a short and showed promise. Like it was a good short. And I think he has the potential to be a really good filmmaker someday. But you don't take a 19-year-old kid who does a 2-minute short and give him $1 million and be like, go make your movie. Like that's insanity.
Yeah.
Like this is what we're doing.
Scott, look, you're talking to a fan of Interview with the Vampire. Okay. I love that movie. I'm not going to say it's better than Sinners.
No.
Like,
I do think it's good. I think it holds up better than Bram Stoker's. Like I was blown away how bad Bram Stoker's is. Like I hadn't seen it in a few years and like probably 10 years.
Both.
Dude, I rewatched it like last year, a few months ago, and holy fuck, that movie's got so many problems. Like it's
The effects are great. The effects are great.
And that's what everybody remembers.
And
like,
that's what everybody,
yeah. It's the performance from what's his name? The plays Dracula in it.
Gary Oldman.
Yeah, it's Gary Oldman's performance, and then the sets and costume design and special effects. Those things are all incredible. But the writing and then the cast besides Gary Oldman, like, dude, I'm sorry. I love Keanu Reeves, but that performance is so bad.
It's rough.
So fucking bad. It's like a director was like, first take. He was like, that'll work.
Hermes Girl says, what if the hero loses? Then are they a hero? Yes. Yes. The hero can lose.
Because the hero doesn't mean like the hero means basically, I'm trying to remember what the actual word means, but it basically means like the person you follow, like the central figure. The story is about.
No, because I mean, right off the rip, the show The Penguin is a villain, but he is the protagonist of the show. But he's a villain. He is not a hero.
Yeah, so like the reason that all the stories can have a hero, it doesn't matter like if they win, lose, whatever, is because a hero is someone you admire or is idolized for their courage and outstanding achievements or noble qualities.
Right.
So like, it doesn't mean they have to win. Yeah. Like
they don't have to win. No.
300 is a perfect example. Like, dude, they're all heroes, but they all fucking die.
Right. I mean, Spider-Man gets his ass kicked a lot.
Yep.
If you like
Batman.
And Batman also gets
especially
his ass
if you follow like from his, like if you go to the origin stories of Batman and stuff, life itself beat him up. Like, he's a little kid and fucking sees his parents get snuffed. Like,
if a hero,
you know what I mean?
So a hero is still a hero. It's by the choices that they make and what they stand for. If they stand for what is right, if they protect others, or they sacrifice themselves for a greater cause, even if they lose, they remain a hero. So yes, if they lose, they are still a hero. That's what makes a hero.
But they are still, like I was saying, your central figure in your story. And that's why it's all a hero's journey.
Yeah, but
because the story's about them.
Right. But the hero's journey is just the title of the archetype. That you don't necessarily have to have a hero character in order to tell a hero's journey. Because you can have a villain go on the quote unquote hero's journey where he starts one way, goes through something, and then changes himself to either.
So it's almost like a reverse,
like Breaking Bad.
Or a reverse where they start out as like noble or start out as a villain and then
or they can start as a hero, or they can start as a hero and become.
But there's still the central.
It's still the hero's journey,
because the word hero originates from Greek and it's heros, which refers to a demigod or man of distinguished courage and nobility.
Right. Okay. What else do we got before we get out of here? Because I gotta go to bed. I'm tired. I'm traveling this weekend.
Where are you going?
I'm going back home to Ohio for Independence Day.
Ah. What are you doing for 4th of July then?
Hanging out with the family, shooting off fireworks, having a big bonfire, getting drunk.
Okay, so it's like I was thinking, you're wrong. Every story is not a hero's journey structure. No,
it's not. I never said that.
You said every story is a hero's journey.
Yes, humans have been telling the same story throughout time. Whether they tell it,
but that's not
tell it well or not, or in the correct order or not.
No, but the hero journey is just one archetype. It's not a universal template. All stories adhere to many stories, especially outside of epic adventure genre, deviate this pattern. And it's what I was saying earlier. There's those different structures.
Like what? Name the
And
other
Hero's Journey
structure.
is just. Hold on.
In what story, whether it's epic or not, do we not have a character that starts one way, has an inciting incident, either
I'm not arguing this. I'm just trying to find out.
Like,
okay, so there's love story, monster stories, friendship, buddy stories.
yes, all of these still follow there are character there has to be a character that follows that same arc where they start one way, they have an inciting incident that calls them to adventure, whatever that means. They either deny the call or accept it, go on the adventure, and then change, or the world changes around them.
Hold on, I'm trying to find out.
There are stories that don't have this, but they are rarely considered good, where a character just stays stagnant or isn't a character at all, or...
Okay, no. Here we go. Okay, so several common story structures exist, including the 3-act structure, Freytig's Pyramid, which I'm not familiar with, the hero's journey, the story circle, and the 7-point story structure. But it says the hero's journey is the most commonly used. But I'm not familiar with all those, so I gotta eventually
okay, so the stories, I mean, I could go through them.
Are you familiar with all of them? The three,
yeah.
I know the 3-act structure, but Freytig's Pyramid, what is that?
Oh God. Okay, let me think.
Okay, Freytig's Pyramid is a 5-part dramatic structure framework used to analyze and understand a story's plot. German novelist and playwright Gustav Freytag invented it.
It's yes.
So what I find interesting about that before you go is that it's still possible to even invent like a new story structure, which is fascinating too. Because if someone was able to make one in 1919, there's no reason someone eventually can't create a new structure.
So Freytag's Pyramid is still the same structure as a 3-act structure, or like Blake Snyder's Save the Cat. Like, it's all the same stuff, but the hero's journey happens within. So the pyramid structure is, you have exposition, rising action, climax, falling action.
Yeah, but this one has a 5-part.
And the resolution, I know I just named 5 parts, is the resolution. But it
doesn't have a 3-act structure. This one has a 5-act structure.
Yes, yes, I understand. You can have,
so it's exposition,
the pyramids,
rising action, climax. Right. How do you have climax in the middle? And then falling action and resolution or catastrophe.
It's the turning point. It's the turning point of the story. But listen, Freytag's Pyramid is the same thing as the 3-act structure or the story circle, because you have Act 1 in the 3-act structure is the setup, Act 2 is the confrontation, Act 3 is the resolution. Within all of these acts, you have the introduction. Wait. Within all these acts, you have the introduction. You introduce the protagonist, the characters, the stakes. You have in Act 2, you have the rising action. You have obstacles. You have the twist if you have one of those. And in Act 3, you have the resolution, which is the downward. Blake Snyder says Dark Night of the Soul, but you have like things are coming down from the climax. You're getting closer to the resolution. That's the 3-act structure. The 3-act structure fits within the pyramid. The hero's journey is told through all of these different structures. Okay? Because you have to have a character that we consider a good character, an interesting character, or somebody that we can relate to. They have to start one way, they have to go through conflict, and then they have to end changed, or the world, or they have changed the world around them.
Yeah, that's
No
why this
story
is kind of
doesn't have that in it. And
that's why this is kind of silly to me, because like when I'm looking at them, they're literally all the same thing. Like, why are they like, I don't really understand how they're called, like why they're called different, because
it's just
the Freytag pyramid is literally just, it's the same thing. It's just broken into more sections, but it's still the exact same story arc. And the 3-act is exactly the same as the hero's journey. So like, why are they?
Because
that's why I'm confused on why do they call different? Like, what makes them different?
What they are is they're more different writing methods is really what they are. It's just a different method of writing. But that's what I'm talking about. Like, how is it any? What makes it any different? That's what's strange to me. Like, because you're just calling it different, but it's okay. So taking it back to art, you have a different method of painting than somebody else does. You're still both painting, right?
Okay, so now this one does seem quite a bit different. I mean, it's still the same art, but like this one is the 7-point story structure, which this is what you use basically for YouTube, like to make successful YouTube videos. It's basically this. It's hook, plot point, pitch point, midpoint, pitch point, plot point, resolution.
I mean, these are all,
but it's the same. I mean, it's
same. It's just different methods.
But I don't even really see. That's what I'm confused on. I don't really see how there's a different method there,
because of the
medium, it's just breaking it down more, but it's still the exact same fucking thing.
It's based on the medium you're writing in. So like Blake Snyder's beat sheet, right? You want to write a movie using Blake Snyder's beat sheet. You don't necessarily want to write a book using Blake Snyder's beat sheet, right? You want to use Dan Harmon's story circle for a TV show, not necessarily a movie. You can.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. Because like for a YouTube video, the hero's journey is not gonna, like, it's a little too basic. You know what I mean? Whereas that 7-part is like really, you know what I mean? It shows you all the different stages to make that arc.
Yeah.
So that makes sense.
Yeah.
I've never been a writer, so I don't knowledgeable of the shit.
But the hero's journey is still told in all of those different methods. The only
and I think regardless, I think it's still the oldest. Regardless of what you say, I think it's like, or what they say in there, I think it still is the oldest story structure. Like it's the first story structure.
Yeah.
Because like all these other ones are newer techniques from what I was looking at, but I think the hero's journey is kind of like the original structure of a story.
Yeah. Okay. Wow. That was,
because like we said, the Epic of Gilgamesh is literally a horror hero's journey.
I had to think about the pyramid for a second, because I didn't study that as much. I studied the story circle. I studied the hero's journey. I studied Blake Snyder's beat sheet, or the Blake Snyder, which, by the way, any aspiring movie writers out there, Save the Cat is a book that you have to read. I think I have my copy. Where did I put it? I don't have my copy around me. Where is it?
Yeah, they don't have that one on here.
Here it is. Got it.
Oh, okay, because these are just the common ones.
Come on,
there's Dan Harmon story circle.
Damn it. Well, I have my copy of Save the Cat. Let me look it up. It's not expensive, and it's on Amazon. Oh, it doesn't matter.
Quack. It's a Caribbean story structure. Man, there's tons of different story structures. It's really interesting to see how different cultures like tell their stories.
Otaku says, "Is Weapons supposed to be any good?" Same director did Barbarian. Hopefully it'll be good. We don't know. Hopefully it'll be. All right.
The only one I know people that have seen is Together, and they all say that it is going to be the movie of the year. So
yeah,
I've been hearing since people I really trust saw it back in fucking February. So, because I know 4 people who were at South by Southwest and saw it, and they were all just like, dude. The problem is none of them saw the trailer, and every one of them has told me, like, if you've seen the trailer, each one shows you more and more, and it's like the less you know, the more blind you are going into that, the better. But unfortunately,
yeah.
You know, like just like with Companion, like we all know there's some basic. I mean, the fucking poster has them. You know,
It's terrible. It's terrible. Companion's
Yep.
so good if you go in blind. Casey says, got everyone silently entranced with the pyramid. Either that or we bored them to death.
Dude, I'm obsessed with fucking Egyptians, dude. Like, you can't see it.
I think he was talking about the pyramid structure.
No, I know, but I was just reminding me that I'm obsessed. This is the hieroglyphs, and then on my back, on my neck, I have my Anubis. Can you see it?
Sort of. Yeah, we see it.
But yeah, I love everything Egyptian, even though that was a different kind of pyramid.
So the next one, what's the next horror movie coming out? Mr. Halloween wants to know. It's not I Know What You Did Last Summer.
No, Together is the next one.
Together's.
Or no, it is I Know What You Did Last Summer.
I Know What You Did Last Summer. July
That's 2
18th.
weeks, right?
Yeah, that's the next one. July. God, what am I supposed to review for the next 2 weeks?
I don't fucking know. It sucks because like
Oh my
Jurassic
God.
World came out this week. You should see that. Review it.
All right.
But it's a big blockbuster, dude.
But I'm a horror channel.
Dude, Jurassic World Rebirth, and it is like closer to the original one. Dude,
All
it's got like genuinely a monster in it. Like at the end of the movie, there's this mutated fucking thing, and it is literally a giant monster.
Maybe.
Like, and that's why I said
I don't want to
much
give
as
them money.
I didn't love it, and I have issues with it. It's still definitely it's more of what we have. Like, it's worth seeing compared to the last couple. Like, the last couple are fucking garbage, and they just feel like they're just trying to take money. This one actually feels like some people cared, and like there's actually some really cool ideas in it. Unfortunately, the writing let it down.
Weapons is opening August 8th.
But I feel like there was like a smaller, there's 2 smaller horror movies.
A remake.
I'm trying to remember. Yeah, Abraham's Boys.
Oh, yes, that's right. Abraham's Boys.
But I don't know if that's in theaters or not.
Oh, I hope it is. I want to see that.
And then I Know What You Did Last Summer. But then there's 2 that come out July 25th. The Home, which stars Pete Davidson. Have you seen that trailer?
I don't think so.
It actually looks pretty cool. And then the one I'm really interested in is the House on Eden, because it's made by Chris Collins, who is a YouTuber. And it's like found footage, and she made it with like her best friend.
Okay.
And I didn't think it was going to be worth a damn, but then Neon bought it, and I was like, whoa.
Oh,
like Neon bought it and they're putting it out. So I'm like, okay, maybe it actually is going to be decent. So,
all right, I gotta get out of here.
Chris Collins, call me Chris, and I'm like a big fan of her and her boyfriend's YouTube channels. Like, they're both what I wish all YouTubers were. You know what I mean? Like, they make a lot of money, but they do a ton of good with it.
Well, good.
You know,
good to know.
Unfortunately, there's a lot of YouTubers that are not like that.
Yeah, I'm one of them. Kidding. All right, I got.
You don't make any money. Shut up. You're like same with me. Like, people think I make a lot of money, and I try to explain to people, like, you don't understand. I make way below minimum wage. Like, if you do hourly, I make like a third of what minimum wage is if you do it by the hour.
Yeah.
You know, like, it is crazy. And I'm just now making a livable wage, even and still working 70, 80 hours or more a week.
Yeah.
It's like even these big YouTubers, people need to recognize they don't understand how much work they do. Like, even these super famous ones, it's like they're constantly working. Like, that's how you know, they get there in the first place. Like, there's luck involved with a lot of those big ones, but it's like crazy amounts of work.
All right. I'm getting out of here. We got to get out of here.
Yep, I know I need to eat.
Thanks for joining us, everybody. Have a happy holiday.
We were like over 50 the whole time.
Yeah, I know we did a good job. We need to get 500 subscribers because we're going to reach 3,000 watch hours before we get 500 subscribers. And that's when we can start actually monetizing the channel. So, you know,
what are we at?
We're at like 280 something. I haven't checked.
Yeah. So if you're on the Ghost Pirate channel right now, please go over to the Death Rattle podcast channel and subscribe there. It's
248. Never mind. So 248. We need 500 and 3,000 watch hours to get monetized.
Did you put it? Is the link in the description?
I don't know. If you don't know by now, like, then you're just never gonna. So
can someone put the link in the description?
I will. Give me a second. I'll do. It's not gonna be in the description. I can put it in the chat. There. Put it in the chat. Death Rattle podcast on the Ghost Pirate.
Yeah,
chat.
that's what I meant.
Please subscribe to Death Rattle. Anyway, if you're in the States, happy Independence Day. Kick those redcoat asses off our land, and we're gonna get drunk and shoot off fireworks about it. If you are in the UK, I hope you have a good
really doesn't make a lot of sense.
Well, if you're in the UK, I hope you have a good weekend anyway. And
I see 27 of you guys over on the Ghost Pirate side right now. I want all 27 of you to go over there and subscribe.
Yeah.
Please.
And Otaku says he needs hot dogs.
Oh, yeah. I want a fucking hot dog.
Yeah, it's going to be great.
Oh, man. I've discovered this super good little hot dog place near my house, but they're not open. They close at 4 o'clock. I'm like, dude, who they closes at 4 o'clock?
That sucks.
4 o'clock.
We will see you all next week, same time, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. on the West Coast, and whatever time it is on the other side of the pond. We will see y'all next week. Peace.
Later, guys.